general meetings on the tarmac. Why Mueller flips Flynn and gets him to plead guilty to lying to the FBI. Report, Flynn says Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. Feels president has abandoned him. Prepared to testify against Trump, family, White House staff. Now, that's what the media is telling us about this information. And I know that some of my sources have talked to some of the people in the Flynn family, and that just as of 3 or 4 days ago, the statement was, you know, we never wanted to be taken away and not be around Trump. We didn't ask for any of this to happen. And, well, he's not going against Trump. But again, here's the big $64 trillion issue. Look at this headline out of CNBC. It says it all. Stocks fall sharply over report that Michael Flynn was directed by Trump to talk to Russians. Oh, my gosh, he saw one once, too. Flynn was the incoming national security advisor, totally normal to talk to the Russians. He admitted he made these phone calls, and they have illegal NSA Obama-directed, when he was a lame duck and Trump was president-elect, transcripts from the NSA of Flynn and what he said to the Russian ambassador. And then they told the world that, oh, we have the wiretaps. And they said, we don't have the wiretaps. Trump's crazy for saying that there are these wiretaps. And then now they use these wiretaps in this indictment. Flynn's been totally cut off from the president. And I know for a fact the president says firing Flynn was the biggest mistake he ever did, being stampeded into doing that. And that he misses Flynn. Well, the president should have reached out to Flynn before this, but he's been totally isolated, being led like a sleepwalking man to the political firing squad with the huge hoax. Dun, dun, dun. The incoming national security advisor made contact with the Russians, something you're supposed to do and every other administration has done, and they admit, but they know the public's ignorant on average about this. So it's like, dun, dun, dun. Flynn ready to say Trump told him make contact as national security advisor with the Russians and the British and the Chinese and the Mexicans and the on and on and on. And with the Vatican, that's what your national security advisor does, is the person that lines up the phone calls for the president-elect to start making those phone calls. Think about that. Think about that long and hard. That's how crazy this has gotten. So you've got illegal spying going on that they lied to Congress and said they weren't doing, and that the FBI director was involved in, all his illegal memos and not giving him to the attorney general, and you've got all the lying and all of this. Meanwhile, stocks are plunging because this shows Mueller's going to make his move on the president, and the media is going to hype it up going, look, he told him talk to the Russians, firing squads for everyone. You don't ever talk to a Russian. We have been through a lot of hoaxes together in the last couple of years, during the campaign, during the primaries, during the attempt to keep Trump from being inaugurated. We've seen a lot of hoaxes, a lot of lies. The new big hoax that is on CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they're all making their move right now, is that this is it. It's over for Trump. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please. Trump directed Michael Flynn as the incoming national security advisor to contact the Russians. Dun, dun, dun. Stocks fall sharply on report that Michael Flynn was directed by Trump to talk to the Russians. That's always been on record. That's what a national security advisor does. They stampeded Attorney General Sessions to recuse himself because he had 3 meetings with the Russian ambassador in the year before when he was the head of a Senate committee. Pelosi met 32 times with the Russian ambassador that same year. Totally normal. But again, they create this hype like, we know there's Russians, they're under the table, they're everywhere, because they knew the Podestas and Hillary and the rest of them were up to their eyeballs in all this. And so now, here's their big gamble. Here's their big move. They're making it right now. The stock market is recoiling in horror because if they even attempt this, which they're now doing, if they were successful, it'll cause a civil war. Totally brazen, totally illegal. Everything that Mueller and Comey and the Clintons and the globalists have done, they're accusing Trump of. And now they're running the hoax that Flynn has flipped and that Flynn says Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians, feels president has abandoned him, prepared to testify against Trump, family, White House staff, going to plead guilty to lying to the FBI. When did that law get into place? Back in the 50s for the mafia? The same FBI told us the mafia didn't exist because they had the FBI director in compromising positions. Then they came out and got laws passed so that if you lie to the FBI and they claim it's a lie, it's like they're God. They're the fourth branch of government. They say it's a lie because they have the illegal surveillance transcripts of him talking to the Russian ambassador, and it didn't go exactly like he remembered from their recording of it. And so they go after Flynn, and what's happening is they've got Flynn on Turkey. Flynn went and did some lobbying for the Turks. I've looked at it. He didn't follow all the proper paperwork, but you have like a year to do it. And so they could go after him for that. They've got him on Turkey. You could technically, nobody's ever been charged with it, but you could say, you know, that he could get some jail time for that. So they've got him on Turkey. And they got him over a barrel, and he's a patriot and a good guy, and Trump says it's a big mistake that he ever got stampeded into getting rid of him. And that was how this whole thing began. And Mueller's been going around finding somebody he can get in the crosshairs to then basically contradict the president to create a constitutional crisis. So dictator Mueller can try to overturn the will of the people, the stock market, the recovery, everything else, because dun, dun, dun. In Monty Python, it's the Spanish Inquisition jumps out, but here it's Michael Flynn's heavy breathing. He's ready to testify right now that the president-elect directed him to talk to the Russians. And the media, every time Trump's at a G20 or anywhere and just waves at Putin, they go, look, he waved. And then he had the Russian ambassador to the White House. Trump met behind closed doors with the Russian ambassador. And the aides in that meeting leaked the info that he patted him on the back and said this whole Russian collusion thing's a load of bull. The president talked to the Russians in the White House. He's not allowed to do that. Really, Reagan called for détente, the whole thing with the Soviet Union. What are you talking about? It's the president. He's our spokesperson. It's a separate branch of government, co-equal to the others. But again, they just create this idea that if we catch him talking to a Russian, and then look, and I'm not bashing Drudge for these headlines, this is what the media is saying. When I say these are disinfo headlines, it's just Drudge showing what they're saying. Report, Flynn says Trump directed him to make contact with the Russians. That's always been admitted. It's totally standard for a new national security advisor incoming to do that. He lines up the phone calls. He sets it up. Feels president has abandoned him. And, you know, Trump really did abandon him. And I don't blame Trump. I don't blame Flynn. But, I mean, that's what's happened. Trump's been isolated. Prepared to testify against Trump family, White House staff that he was told to talk to the Russians. Dun, dun, dun. Oh, my, can you imagine the president thinks he can line up phone calls to talk to the Russian president? Whew. Man, Trump really is bad. And look, as a Russian agent taking care of the troops, smashing ISIS, 70% reduction in the open border, giant stock market boost, hundreds of billions in new jobs, 1.6 million new jobs, fastest growth rate since 1984. I mean, this is big tax cuts we're about to get. America rebooted. No, 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 no. Mueller says, we're not rebooting America. I'll meet on tarmacs with uranium. I'll kill criminal investigations into Hillary and Obama. I'll take foreign money. I'll do whatever I want, be in bed with the Russians. But then we're going to illegally surveil the entire Trump interim incoming president-elect operation, and then say, oh, in a conversation with the Russians, you didn't remember it exactly like our transcript says because we were, without warrants, spying on you. See how that works? They have the one FISA for other people, but not Flynn. They are criminals, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what they've done. And they've got Flynn on Turkey, working with Erdogan, getting money from Erdogan for lobbying. Not anything illegal, but the way it was filed, they've got him. And if it's true that he's rolling over, it's going to be a constitutional crisis and a big battle. Mueller's bombshell filing only concerns itself with Flynn's deception to the FBI about his conversations with the Russian ambassador. It says nothing about any other area of potential legal jeopardy for the former three-star Army general, including his undisclosed lobbying work before and during the White House tenure on behalf of Turkey. Yes, there it is. And the White House is coming out and saying the truth. This is isolated to Flynn, and the FBI saying he told them something different than is in their illegal surveillance. CNN, this is a win for the White House. The White House said late Friday morning that nothing about the guilty plea or the charge implicates anyone other than Mr. Flynn, which is true. And as I told you, they got him on Turkey, so now they're charging him, which I predicted they'd do, with this line to the FBI. If the FBI showed up here and asked me what color the sun is, I'd say, I'm not talking to you. Because I'm going to say yellow, and you're going to say, well, that day it was kind of an orangish tinge. There was dust in the atmosphere. And then, Your Honor, doesn't matter if it's substantive lying or even was deliberate. Under the statute, Mr. Jones gets 10 years in federal prison. And I'd serve 9.5. So you know what? Talk to the hand. Talk to my lawyer. I'm not talking to you. You got an unconstitutional piece of garbage on the books to fight mafia when you covered up for the mafia, and basically the Democrats running your operation are the mafia. And now you're ready to kill the whole country for that scumbag Mueller and Hillary. And you know what? Go ahead and try to destroy Trump. Go ahead and try to destroy the economy. Go ahead and try to remove him while you've all committed the crimes, and you're doing it for Hillary, and you're protecting her and Obama. Go ahead. You try to sell that to the American jury. You try to sell that to the public, because it's not going to work. So go ahead and run your hoaxes that, oh, my gosh, it's worse than that. Trump saw a Russian once walking down the street. I mean, meanwhile, again, Mueller's on tarmacs handing out uranium to the KGB, FSB. So it's here. We're going to break it all down. There's so much more to go over. But, yeah, there's Pelosi with the Russian ambassador and the Russian president. Stop showing the crime. Everyone in that room has to be arrested. They didn't just talk to Russians on the phone. They met with their foreign ambassador. They met with their president. This is illegal. You can't talk to a Russian. Arrest Pelosi. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Alex Jones, your host. Thank you so much for joining us. We have a president that's rebooting the country. We're rebooting the country. He's absolutely empowering our sovereignty, pulling us out of the TPP, these unelected global groups that would have near total control over our country if Trump hadn't reversed the handover of our sovereignty to these globalists. And then they have the nerve to create this whole false narrative that everybody that is for American greatness again, and going back to what made us great, free market capitalism and a respect for individualism, they framed it that anyone that stands for that is a Russian agent. And when you sit there and watch C-SPAN and the House Intelligence Committee and the Armed Services Committee and the House and Senate just saying, well, INFOWARS is a Russian stooge group. They get their orders from the Russians, and they link to Russian news, and they do this and that. It's crazy. And you know you're not a Russian agent, but there they are. And then you look at Mueller with the uranium and the business deals with the Russians and the Hillary and the Podestas and the servers and Mueller killing the criminal investigation and the tarmac meetings. And it makes you angry. And then they illegally spy on the White House, on the incoming White House, on Trump Tower, on Trump, on Flynn, and they're just doing what is standard. But you can even type it in. When the mainstream media has been more honest, they say it's completely normal for an incoming administration to make contact with foreign leaders, including the Russians. Totally normal. But see, they know the general public doesn't understand that. The media's made it like, we know he met with the Russians. We know he talked to them. Look, Don Jr. met with a lady to see if Hillary was in bed with the Russians. Okay, is that in bed with the Russians? If you're trying to find Russian spies? And I mean, give the guy a medal. And it's the same thing here. Oh, the National Security Advisor tried to reach out to the Russians to set up phone calls? I mean, 2 days after Trump was elected, he called me to thank me. We had a 5-minute conversation. Who do you think lined all that up? I was later told who was all there in the room. They had Priebus and Bannon and Flynn, and they're just all in their phone calls, calling, thanking people. Calling up, thanking Billy Graham Jr., calling up and thanking, they thank hundreds and hundreds of people a day. And then you make contact. That's the next thing he did. The next week was all making contacts with world leaders, and it was in the news. This week, President-elect this is in mid-November, last year, is making contact with world leaders. Remember? And they would release the phone calls. Somebody would leak the phone calls to the Australian prime minister, and they'd leak the phone calls to the Chinese president. And Trump's like, what in the world's going on? They're like, should he be able to talk to the Chinese? Well, experts agree it's totally normal, but maybe with Russia it could be illegal. And I know I keep hammering this because it's so frustrating to 100% know this is a hoax. Here, let's put on screen Fox News. Let's put on screen CNN. There it is. You found it. ABC News. Back channel communications are nothing new for the White House. I remember them reporting that in May of this year. So sometimes when they get deep into the arguments, they admit it's totally normal. But they still run with the headlines. Dun, dun, dun. The president ordered Flynn to make contact with the Russians. Dun, dun, dun. And I know I just keep going, dun, 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 dun. And then Alex Jones brushed his teeth in the morning. And then Sally Soccer Mom drove her kids to school. And then the grass grew and the bees buzzed and the fishermen went out and fished. And did you, I talked to them, the Russians, oh, they're everywhere. And then meanwhile, the only place the Russians are is eyeing the traitor globalists in our country. And for their own interests, absolutely getting strategic weapons, strategic minerals, strategic uranium because of the Clintons and the globalists, who aren't Russian agents. They just are like a pimp that says anything you want to buy, anything you want, trafficked kids, missile secrets. I mean, you name it, the Clinton Foundation sells it. They've been caught shipping kids out of third world countries all over the planet. It's mainstream news. Associated Press investigations. I mean, you want it, baby. Billions of dollars. Billions. What was it, like $8 billion came in the Clinton Foundation? We know of in all these Swiss bank accounts and Cayman Islands and Cook Islands and Luxembourg and nobody knows, Monte Carlo. We know about $8 billion of it. And then there's Hillary. And then they get the FBI, which was Obama's FBI. And Obama's Justice Department, with all its stay-behinds, all these political operatives now are going to try to put the brakes on the economy recovering, on sovereignty, on détente, on working with Christian Russia to smash radical Islam. And we're having victories in the military and victories in the economy and victories in sovereignty and victory after victory after victory after victory. Winning, 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 winning. You're going to get so sick of winning, you're going to say, please stop. And we're not going to stop. We're going to win, win, win. Because it's like the boat was tied up to the dock. And you're like, nah. And it's halfway pulling the dock off the side of the land. Trump walked over and said, let's just ease that down, the throttle. Let's put it in neutral. Don't you have a glass of lemonade there? Let me just go over here. See this rope? I'm going to untie these ropes here. Now, you're going to get really sick of winning because you're going to go out on the lake and drive around and go fishing and, you know, go pull into a place and get hamburgers if you want. The boat's been tied to the dock. That's all he's got to do is just, and he's already gotten a few of the ties off, and we're like, oh, wow, we're starting to move. He's like, well, there's one more rope here. And Mueller's like, dude, you're not untying that rope. Stock market's plunging. Mueller's smiling. Because they don't want general wealth for the general public. They want to control everything. They want a nation of renters. They've made the decision. Coffin apartments, breaking up our families. This is a scientific program, 50 times bigger than the Manhattan Project, partially declassified. And the global eugenicist, robber baron, social Darwinist aren't about to let you have the worldwide American dream. They are going to try to sabotage it. But here's the good news, chumps. You think you're going to assassinate Trump or shut down the independent media and bully a bunch of us into going along with you? I've gone from being willing to have a fight to wanting one at this point because I taste victory, and I know what you're doing is actually even better. You can't help it. Just like you tried to steal the elections and all the bad things and the arrogant things you've done and the bullying. All it's done is energize people from being somewhat awake to hyper awake and hyper committed now. So you go ahead and you kill the leadership of the Liberty Movement. You go ahead and kill Trump, shut him up, remove him, do whatever it is. You're hated dirtbag criminals. Everybody hates you. All your own people inside Hollywood and the media are turning against you. The NFL's collapsing, and only the dumbest morons buy into your SJW globalist George Soros droppings. So to George Soros and Hillary Clinton and the New World Order and Michael Moore and Prince Philip's son saying there's too many people, go back to Hades where you came from. We're awake, and you're not putting us back in the coma. You got that, Jack? You're done. It's over worldwide. I'm your host, Alex Jones, and what I'm going to say here today is the most important thing I've ever said in my 22 years on air. Number one, you better get yourself right with God, and that means Jesus Christ. And number two, if they killed Trump or removed Trump when they've committed all these crimes and done everything they say he's done, when people can see the economy turboing back with real jobs and real money and real future and optimism to the average person, and classic Americana being promoted, and détente with Christian Russia, and standing up to North Korea and securing our borders and just delivering at a dizzying level, it's biblical. If we allow the evil people that hijacked this country, the globalists, to remove Trump with all this fraud, and if we buy into the hype, and if we're not strong, and if we don't speak out, if these crazy globalists that don't know when to give up actually are able to remove Trump, and I'm going to walk through the scenarios for that coming up, because they mean business. They said he'll be gone by the end of December. Remember our intel from high-level congressional sources just a few months ago? This is it. And if they're able to do that, it will cause a massive civil war in this country. Economic, physical, there'll be all sorts of permutations of it. And it will absolutely have this country descend into a nightmare. And I've looked at every angle of this. The globalists just want power. They don't care. People know I've got a really good brain for predicting things. The Pentagon listens to me. The FBI listens. Foreign governments listen. That is the good people in the FBI. But you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know this. It's going to cause turmoil, the likes of which this country has ever seen. And all the thinking, hardworking, focused, dedicated people are on the side of Trump. And all of the out-of-control scum is on the other side. And they're going to lose. But I don't want to have this big, long, dark winter crisis. But you know what? Maybe that's God's plan, because then we'll fully remove these people. They're going to come forever. They're going to try to arrest us. They're going to blow stuff up and blame it on us. I mean, they are just spoiling for it. You hear them all over the news. Hunt Republicans. Get Alex Jones. Once we get back in power, we're going to suspend the elections and kick all the Republicans out that got elected last round and have everything federalized. And then we're going to arrest all the Trump people. Good luck, okay? You have taken our restraint as weakness. You've taken our kindness as weakness, you morons. You're idiots. We don't want some existential war with you to make our bones. We already made our bones in many different ways, and our ancestors did over and over and over and over again. We're the winners. We're the trailblazers. You don't like us because you know that. You're evil. When you realize evil wants to get you because you're good, It wants things ugly. It wants things fallen. It wants things twisted. It wants things destroyed. It wants you poor. It wants you dumb. Because then it can sit up on its mountain and stare down on the stinking hovels and the starving people and feel powerful. That's the difference between a conquest economy and a Renaissance economy. And I'm going to start wearing black in here in mourning for this nation. I came in, I've got dark blue, I got dark black shirts I'd ever wear. While this is going on, folks, I'm already in mourning for this nation because I don't think they're going to be able to remove Trump with all this made-up Russia stuff, but they're clearly going to go to their next plan to kill him, and they've been warming that up. And I don't even like the different scenarios that are there of what we're going to have to do to counterstrike against this. It's just places we don't want to go. But here's the thing. We're not taking the country and the world there. We were taking us to prosperity, stability, goodness. They don't want to take us there. They want to take us somewhere bad. So you take us there. You take us there. I'm going to tell every one of you globalists and your minions, you're going to be held accountable. And if you don't have the fear of God, you better have the fear of man. Or you better start reading some history books. Because let me tell you something right now. You kill our elected Julius Caesar when he's delivered victory after victory like it's messianic in just 11 months. You kill or you remove this president illegally with all your crap, with your dying media propping it up in the face of all the evidence because you've got some unconstitutional mad dog, rogue government snake out of the swamp, your swamp king. You pull that, you've signed your own warrant. Know that. Let it be known here in front of God, country, and the world that you are on a collision course with destruction. There's no way you win this. There's no way. In fact, quite frankly, I've got a twisted side that can look far into this, and I'm telling you, this is God working right now with people like Mudd saying he's going to kill the president, former deputy CIA director, and all this stuff. Little power-tripping narcissist twerp. When you look at him seething up there because he's so weak, and his whole identity was about dominating America and shackling America and pissing on America, you realize this is God's plan to have them violently attack and fraudulently do all this in the face of the American people. This is an attack on us. And they want to rewrite the rules of succession. They've got it in all their major publications, how once they've killed Trump, they're going to arrest a bunch of people and try to make examples. Let me tell you something. They arrest me or set me up. It's an honor. Don't let that intimidate you because they can't get all of you. They kill Trump. They kill me. They kill... You know what? It's an honor. I'm not looking for it. I love life so much, I'm willing to give it up. I love my children so much that I'm willing to put it all on the line. And I love your children, too, because they're going to be in the world with my children. This is the stuff of history. This is what makes men, men, and scum, scum. This is what makes you George Washington or Benedict Arnold. This is what makes you in the way of Jesus Christ or Judas Iscariot. This is the greatest time to be alive in probably all of history right now, with all the great pressures coming on humanity and the smartphones causing brain damage in children. Big studies out today from Pew Research. We already knew that. All these attacks are great, but there's also always an opposite and equal reaction, and you want to be part of that. This is your chance not to play some video game where you're off in some imaginary war in outer space or some Second Life virtual reality. This is the real deal with blood, sweat, and tears, and your ancestors, and your woman, and your man, and your children, and the dog, and the whole 9 yards, folks. This is it. This is real. This isn't some simulation. This is the whole future of an incredible species deciding where it wants to go in the richest, most powerful, successful nation in the world because it had a little bit of freedom for a little while. It produced all this science. But evil people came in, got control of it, want to hoard it for themselves, want to dumb everybody down so they can make their getaway into the future. Never going to happen. Never going to happen. We know who you are. We know your game plan. Your own executives are coming out word for word and saying exactly what I've said because it's the truth. And nothing can stop that now. Nothing can stop it. That's why in their cult, none of them have children. And I'm not saying you're bad if you haven't had children. But the globalist cult, the executives, any of them, none of them have children. Very few in the EU, because you just can't have children and then want to totally enslave everybody, because it gives you a connection to everybody else and then triggers the connection to your ancestors and that whole space-time flow, the electricity of time-space, a connection to all of eternity. It's incredible. Where life is like a conscious proton particle beam into the future. We are time traveling our species through replication. You'll never stop us, scum. I'm your host, Alex Jones. Ellen Schroyer is going to be coming in. I've got some very important special reports we're going to be breaking down as well today. Michael Flynn has been charged with lying to the FBI because they have transcripts of recordings of him when he was National Security Advisor, incoming National Security Advisor. And again, the media is spinning it like it's a bad thing that Trump directed him to set up phone calls with the Russians. That's what every interim National Security Advisor does. That's the job. It'd be like a cop directing traffic. You know, there's a police officer directing traffic at a broken red light, or there's a firefighter going into a burning house. Did you? The firefighter was seen in a burning house with a fire engine. They pulled up. They were spraying water on it. Done, done, done. I mean, that is how crazy this is. Meanwhile, Paul Watson's got a really good article that points this out on INFOWARS.com. Flynn charged with lying to the FBI. Clapper still free after committing clear perjury. There you go. Being a member of the deep state has its perks. And what did members of Congress tell Roger Stone and my other experts a few months ago? They said, by the end of December, Trump is gone. Now, he has a separation of powers. They have to impeach him first, indict in the House, try in the Senate. And he's got the people behind him. And Trump's done nothing. But they're going to say, oh, this conversation didn't go exactly the way Flynn said. We have a recording. Oh, I thought you didn't record anybody. I thought you didn't illegally spy. No one's reporting on that but INFOWARS.com. You'll see it in a couple of days or weeks in the news. It'll be like, oh, actually, these are illegal, but whatever, we're still using it. Well, maybe this other FISA court thing we had on Trump, maybe this will work. Remember, oh, we've never spied on Trump. There was no wiretaps. There was no monitoring. There was no nothing. All lies. And then meanwhile, everybody here at the office is shaking their head. Everybody I know is. You watch the leftists on Facebook and Twitter, they're celebrating. They're like, oh, get your popcorn. Trump's going to be gone soon. Yay, the stock market's plunging. Yay, the border's open. These are the things they want. It's just a miserable group of losers that don't even get power, don't even get success, don't even get any of this. Right as we're about to get tax cuts today, he gets the votes. This happens. Because, see, he's only got the engine kind of sputtering. It was stalled. There's black smoke. I mean, it's kind of starting to run good. And there's Mueller pouring water in the gas tank going, we're not going to get this engine going, because if we get those tax cuts, then the engine will roar. It'll kind of backfire as we drive down the street. But 10 miles down the road, you ever had an old car you hadn't fired up in a year or whatever? All of a sudden, you're driving this sucker a couple hundred miles. It's driving like the day you bought it 20 years ago. And they are panicking so hard right now. And it's so clear-cut. Good versus evil. Flynn charged with lying to FBI. Clapper still free after committing clear perjury in front of Congress, saying there is no NSA spying on Americans ever, period. And it's never happened, and he knows of none of it. This is the guy that was on CNN with Brennan about 2 months ago saying, well, we're not going to do impeachment. We've got another plan. He'll be gone by the end of the year. Remember that? Clap on, clap off, the clapper. Well, this guy represents clap for this country, a disease, green pus we cannot get rid of. And then there's Flynn. He's isolated, did nothing wrong. Trump said that. People I know have talked to the president. He's upset about it. He really liked Flynn. They convinced him it's the right thing to do. Flynn goes. They isolate him, doesn't talk to Flynn. I know the president's reportedly tried to reach out some months ago, but they, oh, don't do that, sir. It'll be collusion. The Russians. Oh, and you can't talk to Putin at state dinners. Everybody else can talk to him, but you can't, sir. Oh, sir, you're not allowed to talk to Putin. Sir, you're under suspicion. It's like we're all under suspicion of racism. We're all under suspicion of sexism. We're all under suspicion if we want to make the country great. But all the Hollywood scum and all the Kaepernicks and all of them, oh, they're above the law. They're going to lecture down to us mere mortals. Meanwhile, Kate Stanley got shot by an illegal alien who'd been deported repeatedly and had felony convictions for drug dealing, and San Francisco wouldn't get rid of him, wouldn't let the feds deport him. I mean, Mexico deports people, and the liberal jury, they wanted to virtue signal and send a message to Trump. Doesn't matter, he admittedly shot her, admits he shot her. He said the gun that was stolen out of a park ranger's car weeks before, he just accidentally shot her. Here, let's play a clip of her last words, "Help me, Dad." But listen, we need to virtue signal. She's I think white and Hispanic, same thing. And it's like, Hispanics are like part white, folks. It was this big joke here. You know, we're all humans anyways, doesn't even matter. She gets shot and dies in Daddy's arms, and they got a virtue signal, and they didn't even get him on manslaughter, not even accidental. No. He gets to go. He gets to go free. And you go to San Francisco, there's human feces everywhere, unless you go out to the beach. And they just love it. You know, I haven't said this yet on air, but my dear second cousin, who I was very close to growing up, lived out in Seattle as a Microsoft programmer, did quite well. He gave a homeless person $5 when they asked for it. About 6 years ago, the homeless person bit him on the hand, and he got flesh-eating bacteria from it, had to take a bunch of really hard antibiotics for about a year. And then that ate his liver, and he just died 2 weeks ago. Thought I'd just mention that. You know, that's what these places are, like vampire-like insane homeless people biting you, and their mouths are so filthy like a Komodo dragon. You know, it doesn't have poison, but it bites you. Its saliva so filled with bacteria that a couple days later the deer falls over dead. Seriously. And it's the same thing. Oh, so, I mean, literally, my grandmother got polio from the polio vaccine. The doctor told her. My cousin died from a homeless person biting him. And it's just like, you know, misery loves company. And here's this young woman out there, and this guy whacked out of his brain and deported repeatedly, shoots her in the back, and she dies in Daddy's arms. But you know what? The people have spoken, and now the media is celebrating against Trump. Big rebuff against Trump. He uses a poster child. So Kate Stanley's last words as she died were, "Help me, Dad." Trump slams not guilty verdict of Kate Stanley trial. Disgraceful. You couldn't even do it. Manslaughter. Couldn't even. No, nothing. Because she looks like a white person. And it's white jurors, of course, you know that, because it's all this virtue. If it had been Hispanic jurors, he'd have probably got the death penalty. California doesn't have that. The point is, but no, we've got to show oh my gosh, this is this guy's from Mexico. He's like the railway killer, killed 50-something people or whatever. You have to keep letting him go. Just kill more people. Just kill. So here's Stanley's father about his daughter dying in his arms because the whack job shot her in the back. He said he thought she was a SEAL. So it's okay. Here, just nothing. You know what? You've done nothing wrong except having a gun. They are giving him, I think it's like 6 months, but they're going to say time served. The gun was bad. That's evil. So because you had a gun, now you're in trouble for that. Here, let's go ahead and go to this clip.
In fact, the day she was killed, we were walking arm in arm on Pier 14 in San Francisco, enjoying a wonderful day together. Suddenly a shot rang out. Kate fell and looked at me and said, "Help me, Dad." Those are the last words I will ever hear from my daughter. The day Kate died, she changed her Facebook cover photo to a saying that said, "Whatever's good for your soul, do it." That truly describes Kate's spirit.
Again, I don't care if your skin's black, white, brown, red, pink. You should be sad about that. By the way, he testified in the trial. Jury didn't care. Jury didn't care. They said, We believe him. He didn't know what he was doing when he was shooting a gun. Okay. No manslaughter, nothing. Just, hey, bro, you can go free. Because we cannot validate Trump. They're even saying this in the news now. The jurors didn't want to validate Trump. It's a political move. San Francisco, she's got to die. And it's the same deal. They don't care about the optics, none of it. Hey, we're getting rid of Trump. We don't care if Mueller running it as a Russian bagman. It'd be like having Hitler over the Nuremberg trials. They don't care. Just briefly, because I'm so upset I haven't plugged. We've been so busy, I haven't come up with the new specials, even though a bunch of stuff's already sold out. Because, I mean, we are going to extend it, I guess, a day or so with the free shipping, store-wide, 50% off our best-selling supplements and nutraceuticals, just because Tim's like, we got to stop this because we're about to sell out a bunch of stuff that we need to sell throughout December. We don't get more till January, like Rainforest, Super Male Vitality, and X2, and just all of it. It's getting really, really low, and he's like, we got to stop. But that's my fault. I've been so busy with this, I have not come up with the new specials. So free shipping and our best item, 50% off, and a lot more. InfoWarsStore.com. Stay with us, please. I am very impressed, Mr. President. You didn't let us down. In fact, it's been way more successful than I thought you could be. But America and the world was hungry for this. And nationalism and free market is so much better than communism is burgeoning everywhere. All over Latin America, all over Africa, people are trying. Areas of Asia, Eastern Europe's on fire. The UK, Brexit, Iceland. They're trying to reform the Vatican right now. It's been taken over by globalists, admittedly. Let's bring Owen Schroyer in here during the next break. I'll segue with him. We got a bunch of special reports coming up. I, today, was going to be off air working on some big projects that are going to be game-changing, to say the least. But our fortunes against the globalists have really been turning well. Again, these attacks are desperate. I'll give it to the globalists, the Clintons, those different combines. They are ruthless, and they are crazy. Because we should open the phones up, if not today, on Sunday. I took a lot of calls yesterday. Now we have a lot of special reports and guests joining us. But I got to tell you, they're not going to be able to execute this operation successfully. And I don't put good faces on things. Everybody knows that I put the worst face on things so that people wake up. But I'm not trying to demoralize the enemy when I say this, because they don't listen. They're just totally mentally ill and never think past 2 or 3 steps. They think 3 steps is deep thought. Yeah. How about 50 steps, 100 steps, morons? And if they even look 2 steps down, 1 step down with what they're doing right now, from a sick perspective, because there's going to be a lot of carnage and problems, it's better probably for humanity. The Lord works mysterious ways. And those that have wisdom learn sorrow, as the Bible says, because God gives us our free will, but everything evil does works up front, but then doesn't work after. Everything good does takes step after step and a lot of time, but then once it goes, it's like, whoa, man, why don't I 100% want to be good? That's what I want to do. Wow. This good just gets better and better and better and better and better and better and better. Bad kind of cheats up front and then just degenerates and falls apart. And the people doing evil, they just think like they're getting power because they know how to cheat. And again, I use the analogy of cancer. If cancer was conscious, if cancer was awake, was self-aware, it would think, man, I am like taking over organs, bones, brain. This whole damn system's mine. And the chain reaction starts, and the cancer doesn't realize that when that heart stops beating, that blood starts flowing, you just took over the colony organism. The spacesuit, colony organism, carries on the past experience of our spirits in these suits together through our passion and love together, combining our experiences together so that our spirits can ride along through eternity as consciousness, God's consciousness, experiencing this life. That's so deep. That's why they're targeting the genetics. That's why they're targeting the families. That's why they're targeting, because they're mad scientists. They're trying to find out how it works the fallen ones so that they can try to figure out how to be God by tinkering with one of God's creations. And then they try to impress everybody when they malfunction something. Oh, look what we made. Look what we did. And of course, they never make anything. They just abominate something. Well, just from the perspective of being a radio talk show host, I mean, every day is like Super Bowl, sudden death overtime. I mean, before the Republicans were horrible, the Democrats were horrible, and the globalists were just a bunch of corrupt people figuring out how to consolidate power. Now, in Russia's nationalism, that's how things work, and a big turning, a big awakening. Trump rides in like the Silver Surfer, battling Galacticus. And now we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming in December. We said from our congressional sources. Owen Schroyer here riding shotgun with me. We knew this was all coming down. But still, when you see it, all over CNN, everywhere, just celebrating, get your popcorn. Dun, 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 it's all true. The media didn't lie to us finally. Trump told Flynn, talk to the Russians when he was the incoming national security advisor. That's like saying a baker got up at 3 a.m. and went in and made donuts. And we caught the baker putting their hands in the dough, Owen.
Yeah, I think Rob had to come over and give me a message this morning that you told him to send to me. So clearly, you know, you're colluding behind closed doors with me and sending Rob to do your dirty work.
Well, the point is, it's standard that the next day after you get elected, for the week you think your constituents, then you start contacting the old White House about transition and all their contacts and their concerns and meetings. And then for the next couple of weeks, you contact, this is how it's done. Trump did it as it's done. You contact all the world leaders, and they're like, will he meet with the Russians? And he's like, well, that's quite normal. And they've intimidated the president with a few things they've done into not privately meeting with Putin. He should have already, Reagan or Obama would have already met with him 5 times. He meets with everybody else. But now Flynn, again, I keep harping on this. They got the stuff illegally by wiretapping, which doesn't even show anything. They just say the transcript they have is different. No one even says.
Which they're still denying they did, by the way. They still
we have a transcript of your talk with the Russian ambassador, and it's not exactly as you said. We pulled it out. We had they pulled over like a gypsy wagon on the side of the road in Romania, and they went in, a woman and got a crystal ball. They admitted they were spying on Flynn. That's why they said, look out, we got your contacts with Russians.
Well, I don't think this is going to bode well for them. I really think this is going to backfire on them, especially if they try. I mean, they have charges.
Well, let's pull up the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Let's go to CNBC. Let's see. They want to tank the economy. They don't want this recovery.
But see, I think, Alex, I think that's more of people actually buying into the hysteria. I don't think it's going to last because once this whole Flynn hysteria kind of dies down, just like the Russian hysteria dies down, I think the stock will go back up. I mean, it's still over 24,000.
No, but it's down 146 points.
This is the freak out. These are the people that actually believe the New York Times. These are the people that actually believe CNN.
That said that Hillary was going to win 97%. Yeah.
So you're just seeing the backlash. I don't think that this trend is going to continue.
I agree, but it's one more hoax. It's like Flynn was directed by the president as National Security Advisor to talk to the Russian ambassador. But so that's what he should have made that phone call within the first 2 weeks, and he did. They started making the phone calls 2 weeks in, exactly as you're supposed to.
But think of what happens next.
But if the president wanted to call the Russians the first day, I said that. I said, get this Russia thing out in the open. Get Putin over here. Go play golf, eat some hamburgers, make a big joke, and say, we both love Jesus, go to hell. Yeah. I'm serious. Just go where they think they're strong, because it's bull.
Well, it may have been a better idea.
Oh, I'm sorry the Russians are wiping out the Islamists. Oh, it's so horrible. I'm so horrible. So horrible. They're becoming more free market than we are and pay people to have kids and are Christian and won't let them teach 5-year-olds how to give fellatio. Them damn Russians, excuse me.
Well, maybe if he would have sold some uranium to Russia and then got
or met on the tarmac or killed criminal investigations.
Maybe then it would be okay.
Or lied to Congress like Clapper did.
But what happens next, Alex? Okay, so let's say they try to move on Flynn for this. Well, you don't think that people are going to start looking at Nancy Pelosi and Feinstein and all the other people that...
But Trump's not a jerk. He didn't create some special prosecutor to claim if you ever talk to a Russian, you're going to prison. But I told him over and over, I said, offense now.
I just don't think they're going to... I think that this is a a news cycle story that they're trying to push. I don't even think really anything could maybe necessarily happen to Flynn with this deal. I mean, what are they going to do?
Well, notice we haven't heard any of this from Flynn either. Let's go to INFOWARS or Drudge or wherever, and you see these headlines. Again, people ask me, what are you doing posting propaganda on INFOWARS? We're showing you what they're saying so you can respond. If we post Chinese news or Russian news or British news, it doesn't mean we work for them or the New York Times. We're showing you what they're saying. Because I see the comments going, Jones, you're calling it propaganda that Flynn is flipped. What are you saying? Drudge is a liar? That's what they're saying. Drudge isn't saying that. Again, people try to start infighting. I'm not going to put up with it.
Well, this has been an issue, but it's always because of fake news. You have to you can't take a headline or a story and assume that you understand the full thing. And
you got to wait a few days. Because I got to say, I already know all this stuff, but when you see it, you're like, whoa, what the? Well, and Flynn's flipping, And
you see the response, too. That's the craziest, is the response from people that are like, oh, this is it. You know that there's probably some people in, maybe not Trump's base, but on the conservative side that are like, uh-oh, now it's Flynn, look out. Alex, here's what they try to do.
Manafort, they had nothing. 10-year-old stuff, nothing to do with Russians. Let me tell you the secret. I like Flynn, but let me just say this. They got him on Turkey. He didn't fill out the paperwork. They got him over a barrel. That's the real deal. And no one even knows in the media. They're so dumb. It's all about Turkey. They've got Flynn on real stuff when it comes to Turkey. Okay? They've got something there. Nothing on Russia. So now but they know that's too obvious in the media. Plus, the media needs something about Russia, so they make it about the transcript of the phone call with the Russian ambassador. Again, how did you get that? Illegal wiretapping.
Well, and I think the whole reason why they want to target Flynn is because Flynn outed the relationships inside the government with Galan and his terror network. So that's why they wanted to go after Flynn. But
that's a very powerful group. He also said lock Hillary up. I mean, again, do you agree if the left is able to trigger a civil war? I mean, they're not going to win. You're going to take away our recovery, take away everybody's future, take away sovereignty, and piss on the Christmas tree and all your weird neurotic mental illness, and then everyone's going to love you if you're successful. I mean, in a way, if they remove Trump, this is even better for America, because this is going to go from Trump being back to messianic.
Well, it would take probably a 10 to 20 year political movement to accomplish what we really want to accomplish. No,
I agree. That's why they're panicking. He is scientifically dismantling them in the first year.
But if they remove him, it would be 2 years. It would be literally in the streets, civil war. I mean, that's what would happen if they removed Trump.
That's the thing. They want to end the elections, have new elections, overturn the last election of Congress as well, bring in a permanent dictatorship. They're never going to get that far with this fight unless they go pure authoritarian. And that's what they're openly saying, man. They're going to try to arrest you, me, everybody.
And it's not
how un-American is that? Because we're Russian agents, because we want the economy to come back.
No,
well, I tell you, if the Russians are behind this, they're our good buddies.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why do we have a beef with Russia all of a sudden? Like, nobody actually says this is why Russia is bad. Nobody actually lays out a list of reasons why we shouldn't be colluding with Russia.
Well, they say Putin might have killed reporters, and then every time it turns around, it's some triple agent they get rid of. Oh, yeah.
The double standards are far
Putin doesn't need to kill reporters. He's got an 85% approval rating. And every one of these reporters, I used to buy into this 10 years ago. I went and actually looked at the reporters that were being killed. They were triple agents of the EU or globalists who they found out had gone over to the Russians. Surprising, Russians ended up going over to the Russians and were double-crossing the globalists. These were Russians that were double-crossing the globalists that they were killing that were signed on with Soros.
Well, when you see
they were killing Russian spies that had flipped on them. You understand?
I think, Alex, right now, everything is so crazy in the news. You go back just a week and you listen to your show and there's like all of this breaking news that should be so paramount and huge, but we have to move on. We have to move on immediately to the next thing. And then,
just forget how they know he was on the phone with a Russian. Just he lied, they said it, trust them, and you know, they're going to, and he talked to a Russian.
So Time, though, prints this story out. This is it. They really think this is it. Everyone in Donald Trump's orbit who has been charged by Mueller. There's 4 names. 4. Papadopoulos, who's a no one.
Who would always come to meetings, obviously going, for whatever they had on him, Russia, let's meet with the Russians. They're like, stop it, kid, no.
Flynn, who, again, he's been charged, and this is going to backfire on them if they move with this. Manafort, which is a process deal, and then Rick Gates, who no one's even heard of. I mean, so there's their list. There's their big list, Alex. 4 names without anything really coming.
Yeah, but you and Tucker Carlson And I mean, they said Rand Paul's a Russian agent.
He said it on. They said it on the floor.
Oh, the Senate, like, you're a Russian agent.
Was it McCain? I think
You're a Russian.
You're a
Russian.
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 You're a Russian.
Russian.
He's a Russian. I found the Russian.
I'm good, though. But if you're Mueller, it's like, here's uranium. Oh, 10 different business deals, hundreds of millions for me. Oh, I'm actually on the Russian payroll, so I run the Russia investigation. I'm Mueller, the great. It's Mueller the great. Oh, Mueller. Ha, ha, ha. It's the most wonderful time of the year. And we're committing sacrilege. We're playing Christmas music here. I'm going to play some actual choral music coming up in the next few weeks. Joy to the world, the King is here. And things that will really trigger the globalists, because we're going to exercise our culture. I used to hear that, oh, there's a war on Christmas 10 years ago. I didn't believe it. Now it's out in the open. But here we are, folks. We have Roger Stone with big breaking news. He's under the weather, so he's joining us via telephone. I'm going to leave it at this. I have talked some to the Flynn family over the last few years, and we agree with their policies and views towards the globalists and the Islamicists and the rest of it. They are patriots. And Roger Stone works for INFOWARS.com because he's more of a political expert than I am. I've let him do some of the talking. I don't know how far he wants to go with the big breaking news. And the fact that he's also missed some important phone calls this morning while he was getting ready for this transmission. So he'll have more breaking throughout the day here at INFOWARS.com and on our local affiliates and stations. But they are saying that Flynn has flipped. He's turning against the president, that the president directed him to meet with the Russian ambassador or to make contact. And this is like admitting that there are children buried in the basement. As I've said 1,000 times, that's what the National Security Advisor does incoming. So this is a bunch of hype. So has Flynn really flipped? Pleading guilty? Do they have a transcript of his call, the Russian ambassador? Illegal wiretapping? And so all we're hearing is what the media says is coming out of Flynn. We're hearing what Mueller says. But Roger Stone, I'm told, has some breaking intel for us on this and a lot more as well as the day unfolds. So, Roger, thanks for joining us.
Alex, I'm glad to be with you, and apologize for being under the weather. I think the change of season in New York may have gotten me, but I got a pretty good case of the flu. But I will be on the job today because this is too important. Alex, I think it's a very sad day that they have broken a good man. I am told by sources close to the Flynn camp that the inexorable financial and personal pressure they put on Flynn was just more than he can bear.
And going after his brother.
His son, his youngest son, which is a pressure point as well. This culminated, evidently, when the FBI surprise raided his office, as they did Paul Manafort's home, and it was in that exchange that evidently Flynn said something that he's now being charged was false. In other words, we don't have an act here that's wrong. He's being charged with lying to the FBI. The idea that he would lie about the president telling him to set up a meeting with the Russians, if we could be clear, the president and Flynn had the authority to meet with the Russians. The Russians are in possession of nuclear weapons. Not speaking to them, probably a bad idea, generally speaking. So, again, as we saw in the Manafort case, they are indicting a good man on ridiculous charges that don't go to the heart of a crime.
And they know where to put the pressure. They put it on your family. I have personally experienced it.
It is extraordinary that the FBI would act in this way. I'm told that this is all directed by Assistant Director McCabe, and we will have more breaking news on this. I have actually been back and forth with my very best source, who is calling me now. So I will be
get off now.
Into InfoWars.
Get off now. Thank you. Yeah, that's the source. So we're going to find out directly from Flynn exactly what's really going on here. And just earlier this week, our Flynn source, very close to Flynn, said, no, we just hate the fact we've been cut off from the president and don't know what's going on. He needs to know all this stuff that's coming up, but they didn't tell us what it was. So they said, no, we're not doing this. So he's just saying, hey, I plead guilty. If they've got a transcript and I said something different, okay, you know, blah, blah, blah. Just leave my family alone. His brother, who's a general out in Hawaii, his son, I mean, they're going after all of them. And then he feels betrayed because Trump never contacts him. And because they tell Trump, well, don't talk to him because he's the bad guy because, you know, he talked to the Russians as national security advisor. And that's just what Roger was saying here. This is like saying we caught the dog catcher catching dogs, or we caught a short order cook cooking eggs sunny side up and hash browns and grits. Or it's like saying we caught Mama, you know, making Sunday supper. We caught Alex Jones being a talk show host. I mean, just the way they make it like you can't talk to the Russians is crazy.
And again, they haven't told us why the Russians are bad or what they're doing. They make up stories about them trying to rig our election with no evidence. But Alex,
and the incoming president isn't supposed to talk to him, which is the standard deal. So it's, again, Flynn admits Trump told him to make contact. I keep going back to this because it's just preposterous.
Well, and they say that Trump is an isolationist, yet here they are upset with him trying to reach out and have a relationship with Russia and try to strengthen Russia as an ally.
Well, he's the opposite of an isolationist. He just wants unilateral, one-way deals, two-way deals between countries, not these big, oh, we'll have an IMF run things or have a TPP. It'll do it.
Well, I'll be honest, though. The thing that really bothers me about this, I don't think, you know, hopefully, you know, what they've done to Flynn is obviously just wrong on so many different levels. But what really bothers me about this is that they're going to try to say he lied to the FBI. I think that that's a misnomer. I think maybe he misspoke or didn't understand the full context of what they were trying to do to him. But how can you complain about Flynn lying to the FBI and do nothing about James Comey, Hillary Clinton, or Clapper? I mean, these people not only lied to the FBI, they lied to the American people. James Comey lied under oath. And
we have the video on INFOWARS.com. I'm going to punch out while I go work on some of this stuff behind the scenes because this is direct info. So you're going to take over here. I'm glad you were here riding shotgun in case this happens. So this is unfolding just like we thought it might today. So stay right there. A little Christmas present from the globalist, trying to overthrow the recovery, overthrow taking care of the veterans, overthrow securing the border, overthrow getting hundreds of billions of new job investment.
This is the overthrow of America, Alex. That's what this is. If they remove,
and by the way,
this is overthrowing America. They are removing the republic. They're taking away your right to a vote, and they're just destroying America. That's it.
If Trump hadn't delivered in the stunning ways he has, just way above what it's literally biblical, then I'd be, so what? It's ridiculous. And that's the thing. What's going to happen if they're successful? Do they think that it'll be a Pyrrhic victory? You know, where you win this fight but lose the war. I mean, this is sick. Briefly, because I get so excited I don't even plug. And we're here. We're listener-supported. We're under globalist attack as well. Nothing like the president. Pray for him. Pray for the president. Pray for America. Pray for awakening. I cannot believe how real this is, how amazing this is. And this is really separating the sheep from the goats here, folks, the good from the bad. But we're extending free shipping throughout the weekend because I've been so busy. I'm the guy that comes up with the specials and the deals. And we got 50% off on more than, 14 items. A bunch of this stuff is sold out, though, like the caveman and the this winter sun and a bunch of others. So those aren't 50% off because they just sold out. And that's my problem. I got to come up with new specials because before something sells out, we go back to regular price until more comes in. So you get 10% off additional with auto ship, 67% off on colloidal silver, silver bullet, unprecedented. You do auto ship. We lose money on that, but that's okay. I want you to see how great it is. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLive.com, or 888-253-3139. Our colloidal silver has a 98% review out of 2,500 plus reviews. That's how great these are. A lot of these top-line private labels that we buy private labeling are allowed to go below the map prices that the companies put it out for. It's how we do it contractually. It's totally moral, though it is extremely cutthroat competition. InfoWarsStore.com, InfoWarsLive.com. Bet on America, bet on freedom, bet on the future. Shop with InfoWarsStore.com to crush the enemy.
Look at everything that has happened since the election of President Trump. Economically, unemployment down, jobs up, wages up, housing index is looking good, prices are up, stock market soaring to records, bad trade deals being renegotiated, TPP being eliminated, Paris Climate Accord being eliminated, Trump making the UN accountable for all of the financial burdens that it puts on us. Okay, so there's success there. How about in the media? Let's see. Trump has gone after political correctness and not made it so taboo to speak in such a manner. He's called out the fake news media that has been pretty much destroyed now, especially with the help of Project Veritas. He's exposed the fake news. I mean, you want to talk about exposing the fake news. How about all of the sexual assault and all the perversion that's now come out about Hollywood and the media and government? How about all the arrests we've had of the pedophiles and the pedophile networks and the sex trafficking? How about all that? And yet, you still have people out on the streets complaining about President Trump. And if you don't understand that everything you're seeing the deep state do to try to discredit President Trump, go after people they, quote, say are in his inner circle, which isn't even true anymore, folks, it's all because what Trump is doing. And most people don't understand the entire geopolitics of the world, how the world really works. I'm not sitting here acting like I understand it all, but what I'm saying is the people that operate the levers of power on the world stage are all shaking in their boots because of President Trump. And that's why they're waging everything against him. They're throwing the kitchen sink at him. They're throwing the fridge at him. They're throwing anything they can at him, whether it's legitimate or not. Literally, they make things up. They make up a dossier funded by Hillary Clinton. You have David Brock's Media Matters group attacking anything that's not Trump media, and then the actual heads of Twitter and Facebook and Google and YouTube are censoring any news that INFOWARS or anyone else wants to put out there that's pro-Trump. Why? Now, all of these people that protest Trump at the same time would protest the government and say the government is corrupt. The very corrupt government that's now going after Trump. But it doesn't stop there, folks. It's in the media every day. So they've got three angles right now that they're trying to pull on Trump. The fake Trump-Russia story, collusion story. That's what this Flynn thing is about. You've got Trump is mentally unfit, so they can invoke the 25th Amendment, and we'll have that coming up. In fact, let's go to that right now. So you've got the Trump-Russia thing. That's what the Flynn deal is about, to try to make that stick. Then you've got the Trump is mentally unfit, even though Nancy Pelosi literally can't even get through a sentence without having a brain freeze or fumbling. John McCain apparently has brain cancer, but he's apparently okay. But here's Crazy Joe and Bleeding Mika trying to re-prop up the argument that Trump is unfit to serve.
We are headed towards a nuclear showdown. Most insiders say, and Richard has said this for some time, and it matches everything we've heard from inside the administration, we are closer to war on the Korean Peninsula than most Americans know. We heard this months ago that we are going to have a ground war.
And this is Trump's fault. Trump's unfit,
they believe that inside the White House for a very long time. And yet, he is completely detached from reality. We had a New York Times
no, he's
and a
not
Washington
talking about
Post
Kim Jong-un. He's talking about
a couple of days ago. And the question is, Mika, if this is not what the 25th Amendment was
there it
drafted
is.
for,
And it's not like Roger Stone reported that for InfoWars a year ago.
Cabinet members serving America, not the president, serving America.
America.
You serve America, and you know it.
Just pause it. See, this is how absurd it is. See, Crazy Joe, who magically dead interns wind up in his office. That's just a coincidence, though. Trump calls that out. Crazy Joe is up here acting like Trump isn't serving America. It's like, but he knows better. Crazy Joe isn't stupid. Crazy Joe knows how to, he's not illiterate. He's not ignorant. He knows damn well what Trump has done for the economy. He knows damn well what Trump has done for the United States' geopolitical standing in the world. He knows exactly what's going on. But see, he is a corrupt individual. He is fake news. And whoever is blackmailing him or controls him or whatever it is are telling him, you have to go after Trump because they're all in this together. Are you seeing that yet? Are people seeing this yet? Are they finally getting it? I mean, you want to talk about collusion. Here, finish Crazy Joe.
You know you don't serve Donald J. Trump. Scam developer,
scam developer, one of the most successful real estate
reality TV show host. You don't represent him.
Did she just try to pipe in racist?
320 million
Stop
people.
it real quick. I just have to see that. Can we rerun that back? I got to hear. Mika tried to get a word in edgewise, and Crazy Joe wouldn't let her. Mika has to deal with that a lot because Crazy Joe is such a toxic masculinist. He never lets Bleeding Mika get a word in. Play this again.
Scam developer, Trump University proprietor, reality TV show host. You don't represent him. You represent 320 million people.
This is like their scene. Like she just sits there,
literally in your
like Big
hands,
Bird.
And we are facing a showdown with a nuclear power. And you have somebody inside the White House that the New York Daily News says is mentally unfit.
Oh, the New York Daily News said he's unfit. I'm sorry, did they have a psychologist on their staff?
The people close to him during the campaign told me had early stages of dementia. Now, listen, you can get mad at me if you want to.
You can say that's not okay to say, but
it is okay to say. When are we supposed to say this? After the first nuclear missile
You know what?
goes?
Here, pause it right here. This is what I'm talking about. I never watched this crap. I never watched the news. The first time you tune into this, you should be, this guy is assaulting me. Crazy Joe is assaulting me with lies right now. Crazy Joe is assaulting our republic right now. He is insulting the American people, lying about Donald Trump, lying about our president, slandering our president. This is unbelievable. And see, here's what they don't realize. They don't realize that every time they do this, Trump's base gets bigger and more people hate them. All right, folks, that's enough of Crazy Joe and Bleeding Mika. The big story today is the witch hunt, going after Flynn, getting him on a process crime, getting him on a perhaps statement he made, and then claiming it's a lie. This is what's developing right now. I believe this is going to come back to bite the very Democrats and deep state that are trying to perpetuate this story, because what are they going to do? If you actually are fair, if you want to talk about justice and you're really going to go after Mike Flynn if you're really going to see, this is the catch. See, they're so deceiving. They pretend like the story is Flynn is caught colluding with Russia because of Trump's orders, when that's not what happened at all. So it's just like, this is how they deceive, this is how they trick. And then I have to go out in the streets and interview the very people that believe it, and you can ask them, so what did Mike Flynn do to collude with Russia? He lied to the FBI. So, but how did he collude with Russia? He lied to the FBI. He lied. There's Trump Russia. Did you see the dossier? There was a dossier. I saw it on BuzzFeed. Roger Stone is on the other side with the breaking news, folks. It's breaking. It's huge. Roger Stone told you they were going to try to invoke the 25th Amendment to take Trump out. He's now got the breaking intel on what the behind-the-scenes angles are going on with this Flynn witch hunt. Roger Stone joins me now. Roger, thanks for joining us today, even though you're a bit under the weather.
Owen, great to be back. I apologize for having to jump offline here for a moment, but the sources are calling around the clock to try to fill in the blanks on this extraordinary sequence of events. I can now tell the InfoWarrior audience that the reports roughly a week ago that General Flynn's legal team had cut off communications with the president's lawyers turns out to be exactly backwards. It was the president's lawyers who told Flynn's lawyers, we're no longer going to be communicating with you. In other words, they cut Mike Flynn off. In the meantime, the FBI has put inexorable personal and financial pressure on him. In the crosshairs is Michael Flynn's son, Michael Flynn Jr., a particular target for the FBI because when the Obama administration fired the counterterrorism expert Robin Greitz, General Flynn came to Greitz's defense. Greitz was the target of Andrew McCabe, the FBI deputy director. And we now know that it was at that point that former CIA Director Woolsey went first to Vice President Joe Biden with his tall tale about Mike Flynn being involved in the plans to secretly extradite a radical Turkish cleric who has been holed up in the Pennsylvania Poconos and has been charged with inciting the coup in Turkey that failed. When Woolsey showed up at Biden's office in an attempt to download this nugget of lies against Mike Flynn, who should be there but Susan Rice and Ben Rhodes of the Obama administration, the high command of the Obama NSA. So the Turkish pressure that was fomented by Woolsey, who I believe is projecting, he's the one who was involved in the plans to extradite and kidnap the Turkish cleric, not Mike Flynn. The financial pressure and the raid on Flynn's office by the FBI in December, that is the handiwork of Andrew McCabe and Andrew Weissman of the Robert Mueller strike force, is the incident in which Flynn is charged with lying to the FBI about being directed to reach out to the Russian ambassador. That's the nugget of this. What they're charging him with is lying about being directed to reach out to the Russian ambassador. I would point out, of course, that reaching out to the Russian ambassador is part of his job.
Right.
Perfectly legal. Having no conversations with people on the other side of the globe who have nuclear weapons, a very bad idea. It's very clear that the new president wanted to engage the Russians. It's called peace. What we're trying to achieve is peace as opposed to war. So Flynn, who I really believe is a patriot, and who informed us here at InfoWars last week was holding out under this enormous pressure, he has finally been broken by the combination of financial pressure and being cut off entirely by the White House.
So it seems to me you've got a situation where you have a witch hunt, and I'll get into the deep state civil war that I think is going on after I bring this to you, Roger, but it seems like here's the situation. You've got the witch hunt by Mueller's gang coming after everything and anything related to Trump. They go after Flynn. They're coming at him like rabid attack dogs, saying, what do you know about Russia? What did Trump do? Russia. And so Flynn is like, whoa, hey, like, nobody told me to do anything with Russia. Nobody told me to collude with Russia. Nobody's directing shots here to make any moves because of Russia or anything like that. You know, don't worry. No, Trump's not telling me to collude with Russia. So then it's like, okay, that's his statement. Then maybe they illegally wiretap him, calling Trump in Trump Tower or something like that, get a transcript. So then down the line, they raid his home, they intimidate him, they freak him out, and then they say, oh, what did Trump tell you? What did Trump tell you? He's like, well, he just told me to meet with Kislyak. He just told me to go have a meeting. That's my job. That's my job. We got Flynn. We got Flynn. We got him now. And then the press runs with it. Flynn, Russia, Trump, Russia. It's all real. It's all real. Is that pretty much what happened here?
Well, that was an excellent Alex Jones impression, first of all. We're both learning from the master. Yeah, I think you summed that just the way Alex would. The truth is that this is all procedural, but the real, I think, pathetic thing here is, and I can't stress this enough, is Mike Flynn is a lifetime soldier. He's not a politician. He's not a diplomat. He's a military man. He was well suited for the national security job. He has not accumulated great wealth during his service to his country. The man is penniless. He's broke. He does not know how he's going to eat dinner tonight, and they're squeezing him, and no one is coming to his rescue. He is just physically, mentally, and financially exhausted. The last straw was being betrayed by the president's lawyers. The people around Flynn tell me this definitively. The president is getting terrible legal advice. He's next. He needs to wake up to the fact that he's next. That's the message.
So what is next, though, for Flynn? I mean, this doesn't do anything for the Trump-Russia collusion theory. I mean, this really doesn't do anything other than giving the media something to run with here to try to build this back up.
Well, I think you put it best. Aha, you see? The president told Flynn to set up a meeting with the Russians. We got him. Meaningless.
Yeah.
It's horse crap. It doesn't matter. Of course he did. That is his job. Once the election was over and Trump was the president-elect, he has the authority to have a back channel with the Russians. You may remember this media cycle. Oh, Jared Kushner was trying to establish a back channel with the Russians. Yes, he was. That's legal. That's perfectly appropriate. Even if the president told him, sorry, Obama, you're out. Donald Trump is in. He can have diplomatic relationships with any country he wishes. By the way, Obama had a back channel with the Iranians.
Oh, yeah.
A big news cycle on that. Where were the big stories on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, Hillary Clinton obviously had a back channel, too, to make the Uranium One deal. Roger, before you jump off here in just a couple minutes, I just want to know, it seems to me, I want to know your intel on this. It seems to me the overall picture, the overall landscape shaping up in my understanding right now is that what you basically had was under the Obama administration and all the corruption and all the crime that was going on there with him and his cabinet, you basically, and even dating back years before this with McCabe and Mueller and their cohorts and their crimes, which Flynn may or may not have been privy to some of that. So now that Trump gets in, not Clinton, they're freaking out. They think somebody might actually call them out. They have a president in the United States that's not colluding with them in their crimes, and they're freaking out because Flynn might have some intel. Is this like the deep state civil war that's going on right now with Mueller and McCabe trying to cover up for all the crimes over the last 8+ years?
I think we have to recognize that that General Flynn fell out very badly with the Obama administration. That's why former CIA Director Woolsey, a veteran deep stater, was promulgating this Turkish myth, clearly in coordination with brain-dead Joe Biden and the criminals Susan Rice and Ben Rhodes. I call them criminals because they knowingly use the NSA and the FBI to surveil American citizens for political purposes. Rhodes needs to be indicted. Rice needs to be indicted. Clapper, Brennan. See, wiretapping people in violation of the law and the Constitution, that's a serious crime, far more serious than, say, what happened at Watergate. Yeah, there do need to be some FBI raids, no question. I recommend the offices of Rice, Clapper, Brennan, Rhodes, et al. They violated Roger Stone, my civil rights. Would somebody please call over to the Justice Department and wake the Attorney General up? Get him out of bed. See what he's doing. Sadly, I think the answer is nothing.
That's Roger Stone, as usual, bringing us the exclusive story. And we bring you the news, tomorrow's news, next week's news, next month's news, next year's news, today. We told you they'd come after Trump with the 25th Amendment. Now they're doing it. Now they're coming after Flynn. This whole thing is a total farce. Thank you, Roger Stone. We'll be right back on the other side. James O'Keefe will be joining us. Well, while all of this madness is going on, Trump is trying to cut our taxes, and it even looks like the Democrat, John McCain, is going to vote for tax cuts. But Sarah Sanders broke this down yesterday during a press conference. Now, I want you to bear with this because it's a 3-minute clip. Honestly, for the first 2 minutes, it's a bit painstaking and kind of annoying even, but it's all worth it in the end. Listen to how Sarah Sanders breaks this down, and then what she says in the end explains everything and why Trump is doing what he's doing to try to revive the economy. Here's Sarah Sanders.
Suppose that every day 10 people, for our purposes, we'll say reporters, go out for beer, and the bill for all 10 comes to $100. If these 10 reporters paid their tab every night the way we pay our taxes, it would go something like this. The first 4, the poorest, would pay nothing. The 5th would pay $1. The 6th would pay $3. The 7th would pay $7. The 8th would pay $12. The 9th would pay $18. The 10th, the richest, would pay $59. So that's what they decided to do. The 10 reporters drank in the bar every day and seemed quite happy with the arrangement until one day the bar owner threw them a curveball.
This is Sarah Sanders explaining the tax plan.
Since you're all such good customers, he said, I'm going to reduce the cost of your daily beer by $20. Drinks for the 10 reporters would now cost just $80. The group still wanted to pay their bill the way we pay our taxes, so the first 4 were unaffected. They would still drink for free. But what about the other 6? How could they divide the $20 windfall so that everyone would get their fair share? These are the reporters after all, so they're concerned with fairness. They realize that $20 divided by 6 is $3.33. But if they subtracted that from everybody's share, then the 5th reporter and the 6th reporter, which would each end up being paid to drink beer. So the bar owner suggested that it would be fair to reduce each man's bill by a higher percentage the poorer he was. By doing that, he explained, they'd continue following the principle of the tax system they'd been using. So he proceeded to work out the amounts he suggested that each should pay now. And so the 5th reporter, like the first 4, now paid nothing. He got a 100% saving. The 6th now paid $2 instead of $3, a 33% saving. The 7th now paid $5 instead of $7, a 28% saving. The 8th now paid $9 instead of $12, a 25% saving. The 9th now paid $14 instead of $18, which was a 22% saving. And the 10th now paid $49 instead of $59, a 16% saving. So each of the 6 was better off than before, and the first 4 continued to drink for free. But once outside the bar, the reporters began to compare their savings. Now here's the key. I only got $1 out of the $20 saving, declared the 6th reporter, and she pointed to the 10th reporter. He got 10. Yes, that's right, exclaimed the 5th reporter. I only saved $1 too. It's unfair that he received 10 times more benefit than me. That's true, shouted the 7th reporter. Why should he get $10 back when I only got 2? The wealthy gets all the breaks. Wait a minute, yelled the first 4 reporters in unison. We didn't get anything at all. This new tax system exploits the poor. The 9 reporters yelled at the 10th and made him feel bad. So the next night, the 10th man didn't show up for drinks, and the 9 sat down and had their beers without him. But when it came time to pay the bill, they discovered something important. They no longer had enough money between them all to even cover half of the bill. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how our tax system works.
And now you see what Trump is talking about. All these big corporations and rich individuals put their money offshore. They put their businesses offshore. They put their manufacturing offshore. You know why? Because they're sick of paying taxes here. That's why our deficit is so bad. That's why our trade deals are so bad. That's what Trump is trying to address, and nobody gets it. And that's why I was so glad to have Sarah Sanders break it down like that in kind of like a first grade math equation type of situation for people to understand. Don't you get it? The rich are sick of paying all the taxes. They pay like 66% of the taxes. Now, you can say whether that's right or wrong. That's a different debate. The point is they got sick of it, so they left. They said, bye, we're taking our money overseas. And guess what? Now Trump wants to bring it back. It all makes sense. We'll be right back with James O'Keefe.
I'm Alex Jones. Riding shotgun with me is Owen Schroyer. I love having Owen and David Knight here hosting their own broadcast, because when I've got super hardcore sources that I've got to pop out and talk to, I can do that. Roger Stone has now talked to the Flynn family. I have talked to my White House sources, and I don't want to reveal too much, but this is so important, I'm going to go ahead and reveal a lot of it. We talked to the Flynn family quite a bit in the last week. They said, listen, we don't want to be cut off from the president. We don't want to be cut off from the White House. My dad doesn't know what's going on. No one will talk to him. They're going after our whole family. They're making stuff up. They're threatening everybody. And Flynn doesn't know why the president ever reaches out to him, and why the lawyers won't talk to him. The media spun that a week and a half ago, as we all saw, that Flynn's lawyers broke off talking to the White House. That was all disinfo. That's the deep staters, and they're trying to isolate the president. We confirmed that a week ago. We broke that. We reported that here, that Flynn did not cut off his lawyers to the president, and that at first we thought, well, maybe they don't want leakers, and there are leakers in the White House, but it turned out to not be that. It was that the president and his people won't talk to Flynn. And the president's been cut off. But I know, talking to people that talk to the president quite regularly, that the president says the biggest mistake I made was letting go of Flynn. He didn't do anything wrong. All he did was talk to Russia. That's what you're supposed to do. So now they're charging him supposedly for saying that, the president told him to talk to Russia, but he didn't say talk to Russia. Again, like the FBI is God, and if they just say you lied, when these upper-level political FBI people are so corrupt, like Mueller and the rest of them, up to their eyeballs in Russia collusion, it holds no water. It's asinine. But now we know the big breaking news. Huge interview with Roger Stone. I just got off the phone with the Flynn family. They were completely cut off now for 6 months, being attacked, going bankrupt, everybody coming after him. And again, Trump's been totally isolated, or almost totally isolated in the White House. And they use that to say, sir, don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to Putin. Don't talk to anybody, because, then they can say you're colluding. But then they actually use that isolation to then get the other people to say, see, he won't talk to you. He's not your friend. They're using classical psychological warfare tactics. And the president has known it's wrong that he got rid of Flynn, and he's talked about it. But now, again, they're trying to create this illusion that no crime was committed. We know that. They're trying to create the illusion that a crime was committed, but all they've got is, well, we say Flynn wasn't entirely accurate with us. So now that's the big bombshell, that the president told him to talk to the Russians. This is ridiculous, except so much of the public is low information voters. And they've just heard there's this Russian connection. So if you've ever even eaten a Russian dish of food, it's execution. Presidents and national security advisors never talk to the Russians. That's illegal, even though you better be talking to them every day because of the nuclear weapon situation and so many other things. So this is just massive. This is all they've got. Is Manafort 10 years ago in the Ukraine doing the same stuff the Clintons were doing, or less, actually. And all they've got is this other guy that was obviously in trouble already, Papadopoulos, going in and saying, hey, Russia, 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 being rebuked and over 100 times. And then now they've got transcripts of it all. He's obviously recording it. So their proof is, even in their own indictments, is no, 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 no. The Russians aren't that important. What's this obsession with the Russians, Sonny? I mean, you've got all the world, hundreds of countries, because they were in bed with it. They were scared about it. They needed to project it on Trump, on Americana, on the return of the republic, on the return of the stock market, the return of our jobs, the return of prosperity. That's all Russian. That's traitorous. Now, if you go under global foreign TPP control and foreign multinationals run you, that's patriotism. So huge takeaway with that interview earlier. That is a big exclusive. And it's about getting the truth out. They were wiretapping and spying on Trump, on Flynn, and all of it, selectively using it, confusing them about different conversations. Who knows what's true? There's nothing even there. You're supposed to set up those meetings. There's that big takeaway. But then there's also Mueller completely corrupt, killing investigations into uranium one, on and on and on. Tarmac meetings. It takes out secret Clinton meetings with the attorney general, and then the FBI is more concerned about how to cover it up and make sure this illegal meeting doesn't get out. That's the whole criminal crew that thinks they own and run this country. And that's coming to an end. And they stand in the way of our future, justice, and prosperity. And they need to know the people see through this. So I'm going to make this big point. I'm going to turn it over to Owen and guest and your calls and so much more. Mark my words, ladies and gentlemen. They can't indict and arrest the president through some local court, because you'd have Travis County that's always indicting Republicans for no reason doing it, or San Francisco or LA or New York. That's why there's a separation of powers. It's got to go to the House for the indictment and then the Senate for the impeachment. Then criminal charges can come outside of that. They have nothing. They're a bunch of corrupt thugs working with the Russians. They're jokes. All they've got is hyping you, hoaxing you, fatting you into a manipulation of your own mind, taking these beyond nothing burgers, these negative burgers, these upside down land burgers, and throwing it out there to create this whole narrative of, see, we told you so, to stampede the cowardly, blackmailed, compromised Republicans in the House to go along with the indictment, and then they could get him in the Senate with all those neocon and rhino Republicans. So You want prosperity. You want a future. You want the globalist off your back. You don't want them banning Christianity and forcing 5-year-olds. I mean, you have the Church of England saying they hope the new princeling who's 4 years old is gay and hope he gets a man that loves him. I'm sure they'll try to get that going early so that the Church of England has to accept gay marriage. I mean, it's all insanity, and it's not going to stop till we say no. And these crooks and weirdos and crazies know we're involved in a global exorcism of them. We're getting them off our backs. We're declaring our own independence. They can go off and be miserable if they want. And they're panicking, and this is their assault. And I would look for Mueller from our congressional sources saying that they think the president will basically be toast by the end of December. They'll want to hijack the entire Christmas. But they don't want to say they do it the week of Christmas. Okay? So I predict they'll do it on something like the 18th or 19th. I think Mueller is going to have that grand jury release indictments on Donald John Trump saying that, well, Flynn testified that you did tell him to go talk to the Russians. Okay? And that and other issues, they're going to go after Donald Jr. and others. I predict that we're going to see more indictments, perhaps even the president, by the 18th. So that's your December 1st president. You ready for your other presents Mueller are going to give you on the tree? The stock market plunging?
Thanks, Mueller. You really care about America. You're really doing a great job saving America by destroying America.
And he's on the Russian payroll publicly. He would get into companies where you have to make a $10 million investment for nothing. If that isn't fraud, nothing is. While he was the head of the FBI. That guy is a monster pig.
And that's why he is leading this movement with McCabe.
God, he's a sickening. He literally is the sword to stab America in the heart right as she tries to rise again. I mean, I don't have words. This guy is the ultimate enemy. The Russians aren't the enemy. It's Mueller, man. Because he wasn't a Russian agent. He sold us out to anybody that was buying.
I guess now we have to wonder. I mean, Trump already beat Hillary, said that was impossible. Can he trump Mueller? Can Trump trump Mueller?
Well, we should pray for the president. I'm serious. Better get on your knees, folks, because this is God giving us a last chance to really try to turn this country around. If we don't do this, I mean, you look at these men, and you look at the Democratic leadership. They are just evil filth. They know they're filth. Well, they are filth. It's Mueller that said you couldn't investigate Muslims for terror and took Islam off the list of investigated terror groups and made it all about Christians and conservatives. Mueller is literally a hater of this country.
There's a reason why they're going after Roy Moore so hard, because they know that Doug Jones represents one vote to impeach Trump, and they want that vote more than they want breath every day they wake up.
Absolutely right. All right. Please, folks, we need your financial support. It makes it all possible. I haven't come up with new specials, so the biggest specials ever we've had so far. Free shipping, 50% off on all our best-selling items. It's still going, except for some items that have sold out. I'll have new specials next week. They're going to be pretty good as well, but these are here for the weekend now. Free shipping store-wide, InfoWarsStore.com, 10% off if you sign up for auto ship additionally. A lot of these are loss leaders at that level.
I'm Owen Schroyer here, filling in for Alex now, and Alex is fired up, ladies and gentlemen, because he identifies the enemy. He sees the enemy moving, and he knows that the biggest enemy operative against this country right now is Robert Mueller. And he makes an important point pointing out the timing of this set to launch. He's expecting the next big move to come around December 18th. You heard it predicted in the last segment. Of course, it's not like InfoWars is next year's news today. It's not like we break the news before it breaks. But he's timing this around Christmas. He's timing this around the shopping season. You're seeing the stock market fall as part of this timing. So Mueller is not just, he's not just going after Trump. He's literally going for the jugular of the country. He's going after the economy. He's going after Christmas. He's going after our president. It's everything. So he comes out, says that Flynn is now going to get charged. Stock markets crumble. And there's another ripple to that. But what is this? December 1st. December 1st is usually the day where everyone kind of puts Thanksgiving in the past and says, now it's Christmas time. So Mueller and the rest of the Christmas-hating liberals out there that also hate Trump love that timing. Oh, they probably love the fact that the stock market took a hit today too, a big hit. That's what they want. They want to hurt consumer confidence. They want to break America's will. They want to break America's back. They want to break the confidence that's been building, all the momentum right before Christmas to hit us where it hurts. We elected the president, hit the president. We've got the economy soaring and booming. Got to do something about that. Let's get those stocks to drop. Let's say that we're charging Flynn. Christmas shopping coming up, big Christmas season, good time for the economy, more people working, more people making goods, more goods being sold. Got to stop that. Got to put a pin into that. Got to take a chunk out of that. Got to put a chink into that. That's what Mueller is doing right now. Now, but here's another strange ripple about this. Think about this. I mean, this is the indication, as if you didn't already realize this, some people still don't get it, this is the indication that Trump is literally responsible for the return of the economy. I'm not saying Trump waved a magic wand or is the puppet master. It's the fact that Trump is real. It's the fact that Trump wants America to be rich. It's the fact that Trump wants us to have fair trade deals. It's the fact that Trump is renegotiating these trade deals. That's why they have to do it. So why do the stocks fall after Flynn was charged? Because they think that Trump might be removed. You see, you remove Trump from the office, the American economy suffers. You remove Trump from the office, the stocks fall. You see how that works? It's all Trump. Trump is the one reinflating America. Trump is the one patching all the holes in the American economy that got slid into by the Clintons and by Obama.
Feed me some of his audio.
We've got Alex Jones who's going to rejoin us. This is all breaking. Robert Mueller is coming after Trump in Christmas time as an attack on America's jugular vein, the heart of this country, going after our culture, going after our president, going after our holidays. I mean, Alex, this is really sick.
Absolutely, Owen. I'm in here working on stuff behind the scenes. I'll be joining you more later. But when you're just talking up there and you brought up this point, it made me run back in the studio because you're so on target. They admit they're trying to raise interest rates to kill the recovery. They admit they're trying to cut off the coal to kill the economy. The globalists admit they're not loaning to small businesses in the last year to try to stop it, but still the small businesses are at record level. They admit that they're economically trying to stop the tax cuts to kill this American recovery because they've already sold the nation off, but we could regenerate. We still have an infrastructure. So that's why this was make or to break it time for Trump and for America. And literally, they are coming after our republic. They are coming after Christmas, which is make or to break it for most companies. You've got all these main streets going out of business. Now they're starting to come back a little bit. This is a strategic attack on the republic. That's why they're attacking Trump, because they've got to kill the republic's recovery at an embryonic phase. This is economic warfare. This is real, folks. That's why when you shop with Amazon and don't shop at mom and pops with INFOWARS, you're helping. He's funding Soros. He's funding the Washington Post. These moves to impeach Trump. This is a war, people, an economic war, and you are under economic attack. So again, I ran here so fast, I didn't have time to get the lights on. Great job, the crew. It's just that this is absolutely real. It's not rhetoric. Back to you, Owen.
Yeah, and I don't think people really understand this. Unfortunately, until it hits your front door, people don't really understand it. Now, a lot of people have been hit with the anti-American, well, President Barack Obama. So what happened? They responded by voting for Trump.
Slaves are poor. Slaves are poor. This is how the third world makes people poor on purpose. It's a system of control. Obama admits it. It's called austerity.
And look what happens anytime countries embrace communism, socialism, and not capitalism. They corrupt, they disintegrate into nothing. And Alex just made another key point. Christmas is make it or break it for a lot of industries, a lot of businesses. It's make it or break it time. And so here comes Robert Mueller, charges Flynn, stock market falls, and consumer confidence drops. What? I mean, I just hope that Trump is playing possum, because I mean, we can't stand for this. We won't stand for this. Robert Mueller, some unelected bureaucrat, destroying our country? Are you kidding me? I mean, at least with Obama, we were dumb enough to elect him. Who is Robert Mueller? Us anti-American scum. A Clinton crime mafia boss. I mean, look at the people that are out. All of the people that hate Trump have allied with three of the biggest mafia crime bosses on the planet. Hillary Clinton, George Soros, Robert Mueller. That's who the left has gravitated to. The most sickening, deviant, corrupt individuals on the planet. And so what happens when you side with them? The stock market collapses and America goes into slavery. Congratulations. And Trump is the Russian agent, though. Trump is the one that's anti-America. Here comes President Trump, not even a year in office, recovering the economy, stock market's hitting record, consumer confidence up, housing market up, everything booming, everything awesome, everybody making more money. And then here comes Robert Mueller. I'm going to charge Mike Flynn for a process crime. Bunch of bull. And then we're going to leak it to the press as if this is the end of Trump. And then the stock market's going to freak out and it's going to drop. And then nobody's going to want to spend money on Christmas. And then I'll destroy their businesses and I'll destroy the economy. And then I'll come for Trump and then we'll destroy America. And all of the liberals in the street that protest Trump, they'll embrace their change. They'll embrace their poverty. They'll embrace their little coffin that they get to pay $500 a month to live in. That's America. And I'm Robert Mueller. And I'm a corrupt sycophant, but I'm going to kill that country, America. It's really sick, folks. And it's all fun and games for all the people that want to protest Trump in the street until you literally are starving because they killed America. And you have no culture, no heritage, nothing. And that's what you want. That's what you want if you go against President Trump. Understand that. We're about to be joined by James O'Keefe, the living legend at Project Veritas. Owen Schroyer here standing in for Alex Jones on The Alex Jones Show. I've just received the official documents from the statement, the defense statement from Michael Flynn that's been released. I'm going to get that as soon as possible. There's a couple things that stick out to me. Thank you, guys. First of all, look at, I'm telling you, I'm going to try not to blow up here. But just look at this. It's the United States of America versus Mike Flynn. Really? The United States of America. Talk about a fallacy. No, this is the anti-American deep state versus Mike Flynn. This is not the United States of America versus Mike Flynn. This is Mike Flynn, pro-America, being sued or being attacked, excuse me, in a witch hunt to take down President Trump and take down America by the anti-American deep state, by the corrupt, sell America down the toilet hole deep state. That's who's coming after Mike Flynn, not the United States of America. Well, so let's just clarify that. But they're going to give me that defense statement. And but again, it's like, how does Hillary Clinton get away with everything and Mike Flynn can't even get away with a crooked toenail? That's more of a crime than anything else, that woman gets to walk free. Every day that woman walks free, my tolerance goes down. Every day Hillary Clinton walks free, my tolerance goes down another level. I'm sick of that. How does Mike Flynn have to deal with this crap and Hillary Clinton walks around after literally selling this country down the drain, breaking the law, lying about it? And Mike Flynn is the bad guy. Folks, if you're as upset as I am about this, and I know you are, help take INFOWARS to the next level. Put all eyes on us. Put all the burden on us to get this news out there. Make our audience bigger. Make our reach bigger by supporting us at InfoWarsStore.com. Don't let CNN and MSNBC and the fake news control the narrative. Let the truth control the narrative. Let real Americans control the narrative. Let people who don't want to see this country die control the narrative. And that's what you do when you support us at InfoWarsStore.com. Alex just announced we're extending. That's right. We're extending the specials, including free shipping, through the weekend. Cyber Monday specials at InfoWarsStore.com last an entire week. That's how Alex rolls. We bring you the new product, the Real Red Pill, at a 50% off introductory price. 50% off the new groundbreaking supplement, the Real Red Pill. You'll notice when we look at the reviews of these products, they're all very high. Specifically, colloidal silver. Now, with winter approaching, sometimes you get some sore throats, some coughs. You know how that goes. You start to develop some sort of flu, perhaps. And there's never really a magic bullet for that. There's not really anything that seems to work every time. Well, that is until you try colloidal silver. Silver Bullet from InfoWarsStore.com is 67% off. This is an unbelievable deal. I would literally suggest getting 10 or 20 of these and just stock up. Now's the time to stock up at this low price of 67% off colloidal silver at InfoWarsStore.com. And plus the free shipping. I mean, get 20. You're going to use it. And I'm telling you, I remember growing up, I'd get a sore throat, and you do a throat lozenge, or you try some cough syrup or something, and maybe it works for a little bit, an hour or two, and then you got to take it again. Colloidal silver knocks it out. You don't have to do it again. You take the colloidal silver as soon as you feel something coming on, just take a couple hits, and then within hours, it's gone. Works for me every time, and that's why the reviews are almost 5-star. I mean, how do you even get thousands of reviews and have it a 5-star rating? That's because the product works. That's how. So that's what we have at InfoWarsStore.com. And that's how you support this broadcast and take us to the next level and make us grow. And eventually, with your support, we'll get so big, like a weed, will just grow over MSNBC, CNN, and all of the fake news out there. Because these are the people. Brian Williams, news anchor for NBC, gets caught lying on television, blatant lies, consciously lying, deceiving the public. He's disgraced. He's off the air. And then magically, he reappears on MSNBC as a host. The 11th Hour with Brian Williams. The guy who literally got his 25th hour in news after lying. Oh, but that's okay because so did Hillary Clinton. So did George Soros about not being a Nazi. So let's get behind those people, though. Those are the people we should trust. Not Infowars.com that has been, it's like yesterday, I didn't even talk about this. There's a huge thing yesterday down at Texas State because they write this racist article. This happens every time I go out on the streets. Some libturd will come up to me and say, oh, the frog's gay? Or what's making the frogs gay, dude? Yeah, gay frogs. One guy comes up to me at Texas State yesterday and goes, what's the name of that chemical that makes the frogs gay again? You big dummy, you think the frogs are gay? And I'm like, yeah, the chemical is called atrazine. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the chemical's atrazine. You asked me the name of the chemical. And then he's gone. He's gone. He disappears. Never to return again. Maybe he went and looked up atrazine. I doubt it. But this is what we deal with. Alex Jones reports on a real story. They lie about it. President Trump gets into office to save America. They lie about it, tell you he's a Russian agent. Do you see the pattern here? It's all about twisting reality. It's all about deceiving the public. It's all about keeping you dumbed down. And it's not like they admit that in the WikiLeaks. It's not like you can actually go to the source and see them talking about how they want you dumbed down. It's not like you can see the scientific studies on fluoride and what it does to IQ. Yeah, that's another one. Oh, fluoride in the water. Jones thinks fluoride's bad for you. You realize that raw fluoride has a skull and crossbones on it because it's literal a neurotoxin? But it's not even the raw fluoride. They're making it worse, the fluoride they put in the water. Even CNN, fluoride exposure in utero linked to lower IQ in kids. Oh, but you don't hear them telling pregnant mothers not to drink tap water. No, they used to tell them not to take a vaccine. Now they want to inject them with every vaccine on earth. So that's fine. Just poison everything. Just poison the culture. Just Robert Mueller. Yeah, you know what, Mueller? Just come in and just kill America. Just come on in, Robert Mueller, you big scumbag. Just come on in, you big crime mafia boss. You got more skeletons in your closet than a Halloween costume party. Just come on in, Robert Mueller, with your anti-American corruption, you big fat scumbag. Come on in, Robert Mueller. Come on in and indict the president that's saving this country. Come on in and indict the first president of the United States we've had in my entire life. Come on in, Robert Mueller. Kill the economy. Kill the stock market. Kill all the momentum. Just come on in. Robert Mueller. America is the Titanic. America is the Titanic, and the people are at the helm of the ship. And Robert Mueller is the iceberg. Okay? Are we going to hit the iceberg and sink and die? Or are we going to turn away from the iceberg? So here comes America, the Titanic. The American people are at the helm, and we're steering, and there's an iceberg. And all the logical thinking people in media and all the real Americans and the patriots are saying, look, there's an iceberg. If we hit that iceberg, we're going to die. If we hit that iceberg, we're going to sink. And then Mueller's over here like, no, I'm not going to sink you. I'm going to raise you up. I'm going to show you the truth. Oh, yeah, down in Davy Jones' locker. So the American public, oh, sure, yeah, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia. The media says, yes, Trump, Russia, Trump, Russia. So they want to steer us right into that iceberg and then watch America sink and watch America die. That's what's going on. So the great ship of America, there she goes, full steam ahead. And here comes Robert Mueller, the iceberg, and the mainstream media wants to drive us right into that iceberg, George Soros included, and sink this ship. Not on our watch. No, sir.
He's not taking us to a place where I would be able to say with any confidence that the result of it is going to be the president being guilty of being in cahoots with the Russians. There's no evidence of that I've seen so far.
How do we get the president?
I have no idea. And frankly, there may not be anything against the president. I have no idea. Seriously. I mean, it's a crapshoot.
Several months ago, the Washington Post applauded me personally in Project Veritas about one of our investigations, saying it, quote, validates his group and its controversial methods. But when we turned our cameras against them, the Washington Post cried foul. If we investigate one of their enemies, we're their friend. If we investigate one of their friends or them, we're their enemy. See, in the final analysis, it's really not about our methods or our techniques. Don't let them fool you with this talk about morality.
All right, that is James O'Keefe of Project Veritas and their latest video exposing the Washington Post. James O'Keefe joins us now. James, it's truly incredible what you've done. You've exposed CNN. You've exposed the New York Times. You've exposed the Washington Post as total fake news, total agenda-driven, bias-driven, yet somehow they still get support and they still get funding. It's really shocking.
Well, thank you very much for having me on today. It's a joy to be with you. You know, we expose people who buy ink by the barrel, right? And that's the old adage. And it's not about the techniques. We use undercover aliases to get people to open up. It's a premise by which to extract honest comments from our subjects. It's not new. People did it throughout the 20th century, won Pulitzers for doing so in Chicago, posing as janitors, posing as would-be voters. Somehow we're having this conversation about deception is not allowed when you're going undercover, and they're assigning fake motives to me about what I'm trying to do because we have exposed the New York Times. We forced the New York Times to change their social media policy, so now they're trying to shut us down. We're going after the whole freaking matrix, the whole establishment media cartel, and we are an existential threat to them. And I've said this again, I am not stopping. We have people all over embedded in all these places. There's nothing they can do to stop us, and that's why they are freaking out.
What is the death blow to this fake media machine? I mean, what more do you have to do? I mean, you've already exposed them. I mean, look at the Russia thing. They continue with this Russia collusion narrative. They're now going to charge Flynn. You've already exposed the whole thing as fake news. They knew it.
Well, you know, George Orwell said in 1984 that the party tells you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. It was their, quote, final most essential command. And Alexander Solzhenitsyn said in the Gulag Archipelago, or he said in his Harvard commencement address, that the media has more powerful than all of these other branches of government. So they're just an organ that disseminates and distributes whatever their narrative they want to be. Now, the videos that you just showed show the national security correspondent. He's the beat reporter, the subject matter expert for the Washington Post, saying that there's probably not a story there. He said it's an effing crapshoot, an effing black box. And what's interesting about this video is that it contradicts everything we hear, read, and see in the Washington Post. So if the paper's editorial pages and the opinion makers, which is, by the way, 90% of our media, if it's not grounded in the facts of their own investigative correspondence, then what are they grounded in? If they're not grounded in any fact-finding endeavors, well, maybe they're just making this stuff up. So I'm telling people say, well, James, they're coming after you this week. Well, yeah, they are, because we're exposing them. This is what they do. This is what people do to people like me. And unfortunately, I have to be a kind of, you know, when the people at Gettysburg, when they're storming the field and the person in the front always takes the most shots. They're the one who gets shot down. We have to make it clear that nothing is going to deter us from the struggle. Your question, what is it going to take? It's going to take many videos like the one you just show over and over again until the tipping point is reached.
Yeah, and I guess that's the question that just remains in my head. When is the tipping point going to be reached? For me, I mean, all it should take is one video, but I guess this is the, you know, fluoride shell of ignorance and misinformation that we have to somehow chip away at, and that's exactly what you guys are doing at Project Veritas. I mean, what do these, I mean, are they trying to come after you just like they try to come after us? Are they suing you, trying to shut you down? I mean, what attacks are you dealing with now?
Every attack you could possibly imagine. I had the New York Times and BuzzFeed call every one of the foundations that has supported us on their 990 Schedule B tax return. It says that they give a support to Project Veritas, and we are truly crowdsource funded. So they can't attack the quality of the actual journalism. So they have to try to say, okay, who funds him? Well, we're crowdsource funded. We have 20,000 people give us money on the internet. No one has fiduciary control over us. Those media corporations, they do have people who have fiduciary control over them, and they have conflicts of interest. They have corporate advertisers. We don't even have advertisers at Project Veritas. So they're calling up our foundations and saying, why do you support James O'Keefe? Not only did our donors and our supporters not get afraid by calls from the New York Times, a lot of them have, in fact, doubled their donation in this week, is saying, if you get these angry phone calls, so it's kind of working against them. We also had the Attorney General of New York just yesterday. I got a call from the New York Daily News saying the Attorney General of New York is threatening to revoke our nonprofit status. I mean, it's so political. The whole system, the whole machine is trying to take us down for what we do, and it's an existential threat to what the media stands for, to have some independent, you know, organization like ours, little nonprofit organization. They're trying to shut down because we threaten their power and their ordained narratives.
Well, you're no little operation. I mean, Project Veritas is, I mean, you guys are right at the tip of the spear with us. That's why they're coming after you so hard. But you're 100% right. This is an all-out attack from the very people that have been stealing from this country, robbing this country of its culture, its heritage, and its manifest destiny. And they're trying to protect everything. And the wildest thing about what you just said to me is how you have people calling your supporters saying, why would you support Project Veritas? Why? It should be the exact opposite. People should be calling CNN supporters. People should be calling the Washington Post advertisers saying, hey, why are you supporting these organizations?
Yes, I mean, the world has a way of being really screwed up. And you know what's even more interesting? If you look at history throughout the 20th century, people like Günter Wallraff, he was a German undercover reporter. I mean, he was considered a folk hero by Abby Hoffman at Mother Jones magazine. He was imprisoned. He broke the law. I don't even go that far. He did whatever it took to quote, break through the palace guard, to use deception as a way to not be deceived. We're not doing something new under the sun here. People have used deception to gain access to people to elicit honest information, because the truth is, and the greatest justification for deception undercover is the truth. Is the truth, because you want to tell the truth to the people. And if you don't use these techniques, oftentimes you're going to be deceived by your subjects. They're going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to tell you what they want you to hear. And the most important calculation when making the sort of utilitarian calculus to justify the techniques is, well, what it's all about exposing the truth and broadcasting that to the masses. Project Veritas has never deceived our audience. Our number one goal, our number one ethic is to tell the truth using pretty much whatever means necessary to get to the truth, to spread that truth to the American people. And you know what? They know that, and they are scared. They are really scared. And what's really bad for them is that undercover work has its ups and downs. Sometimes we win, sometimes we lose them. But all it takes is one of our reporters catching them in the act that changes the whole game. And that's why our supporters love us and will continue to support us, and nothing is going to stop, ever.
And it's just incredible what you guys expose. Again, there should be a basic common sense here where, I mean, myself as a reporter, myself as a broadcaster, if I have a story, you get hundreds of stories, right? If I have a story here that doesn't have legs or there's nothing to it, I'm not going to waste my time on it. I'm not going to report it. It's like, you guys literally exposed the entire agenda at the Washington Post, at the New York Times. We don't care if there's no story on Trump-Russia. We're going to report on it anyway because we just hate Trump.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And I had every person on Twitter yesterday or the day before tweeting at me with those blue check marked accounts, thousands of them. Who cares? James, this is an advertisement for the Washington Post. This guy's honest. And I kept on tweeting back at them, yes, he's actually being honest. Why isn't he being honest in public? Why isn't his newspaper and his editorial page saying what he's saying here? All we hear when we turn on CNN, the New York Times, and all these places is Russia, 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 Russia. When the subject matter expert on the matter, Adam Entus, says into a hidden camera, there may not be a story here. There's not really. It's a effing crapshoot. I don't know what's going to happen, right? And the CNN guy said the exact same thing. Mm-hmm. This guy named John Bonifield, he said that it's BS. It's mostly BS. And the CEO of CNN said in an internal meeting, I'm quoting him here, said in an internal meeting that that's the case. They're doing it just for the rating. So they are so scared. And you know what else? They're changing their behavior. We're keeping them honest. Now they know that they're the Project Veritas people undercover trying to expose them.
That's James O'Keefe from Project Veritas. Great work as usual, James. Thank you so much for joining us. They can't stand Project Veritas because they show you who they really are. Welcome into the fourth hour of the Alex Jones Show. Sitting in for Alex here is Owen Schroyer. Obviously, the big news, the Flynn charges, Robert Mueller trying to destroy America, the scumbag. Of course, Kate Steinle gets murdered by a illegal migrant, non-citizen, but because he's a non-citizen illegal migrant and his magical non-citizen privilege, he gets away with it. So you have the migrant, you have the illegal migrant privilege, you have the illegal alien privilege. They get their own cities. They get sanctuary cities where apparently they can just murder people and, sanctuary cities. So they have sanctuary, so they're fine. So they can go around stabbing people, murdering people, shooting people. And they have a migrant privilege, so they're going to go ahead and get away with murder. And that's what happened with Kate Steinle. And then, of course, my first reaction, I was shocked. I thought, no way are they actually going to let that murderer walk. And, of course, then they did. And a total political move. But, again, they don't understand. Everything they do backfires against them. And this will backfire against them, too. It will create more awareness for the open borders under the Obama administration and Democrats. It will cause more awareness to the dangers of sanctuary cities, thanks to Democrats. But on top of all that, Trump just got the best, what should I say, push towards a wall at the border that he could ever ask for. Not that anybody wanted this guy to walk. Let's be perfectly clear. However, if you don't think that Kate Steinle's murderer getting away with this isn't going to be more momentum to the wall, well, think again. But see, don't worry. It's all about illegal immigrant privilege, you see? Because Kate Steinle isn't the only one that gets murdered. Here's just another story. You had Jamil Shaw Jr. Jamil Shaw, who's black, by the way. Where are Black Lives Matter for Jamil Shaw Jr., who gets killed by an illegal alien? A DACA recipient, mind you. Oh, I guess Kate Steinle's white privilege didn't get her murderer locked up. I guess Black Lives Matter doesn't care about Jamil Shaw Jr. because they're not being told to protest that because of the illegal migrant privilege. That's right. And then the crew pulls this story up. Black Panther star reveals himself as an illegal immigrant. Folks, this is what I was saying yesterday. The story in Texas State newspaper says that white people don't know what it's like to have their heart rate increase when there's police flashing lights behind them. Which, like, what? How ridiculous is that? But then you say, look at this guy. If I break the law and I get caught breaking the law and the police are behind me, then yes, my heart is going to be racing no matter what skin color you're is. But if you're an illegal immigrant and you murder someone, you're okay. If you're an illegal immigrant and you're an actor and you admit it, you're okay. No sweat there. So again, just more double standards. And then I've got a stack of news here. I mean, they hate, it's like Huffington Post retweets, white men are canceled. No, America's being canceled. Robert Mueller's trying to cancel America. CNN, MSNBC, Washington Post, New York Times, they're trying to cancel America. They're trying to end you. I got literally, look at this. These are all the headlines just in the last year from Huffington Post hating white people. I literally have a list of more than 20 headlines from the last year of the Huffington Post hating white people. Why some white people don't see white privilege. How white people should write about Ferguson. An open letter to my white besties. Sometimes I don't want to be white either. White fragility is racial violence. It just goes on and let's get rid of white privilege. I mean, it's just on and on and on. But then Black Lives Matter says they're going to boycott white-owned businesses. Hey, fine, that's your right. But how come white people can't have an issue? How come white people can't protest? No, it's all a divide and conquer tactic. Divide us based on race. It's all false. We're all humans. We're all Americans. Let's come together and save America from Robert Mueller. We will go the distance. We'll go whatever distance that is to save America, to save this culture, to save society from the brainwashed liberals out there who don't even accept the basic science of two genders. They're so confused, they've been so deceived to not even believing their own eyes that if they simply look down their own drawers, they could discover their gender. Nope. Can't even do that. The big news today, Flynn gets charged, stock market takes a hit. Some developments out of the White House that Stone talked about yesterday with Rex Tillerson, possibly some other people being outed, but that's all news that's developing. Mike Cernovich joins us here in the fourth hour. He's going to be taking over. Wow, Mike, the big news, obviously Flynn, the witch hunt continues. Robert Mueller's aim to destroy America and Trump's presidency continues. And here we are with the stock market and collapsing and then buying it. They're trying to destroy America right here. Alex thinks they're targeting the Christmas season. What are your thoughts, Cernovich?
Well, the market's been at a record high, so we're going to get corrections. They're going to happen. Bitcoin is probably going to correct sometime soon. What a lot of people are on Wall Street are very upset about is that even though they're making a lot of money, in fact, the stock market, the Dow just hit, 24,000 or something like that. It's proven that all the predictions about the market crashing when Trump won were fake news and fabrication. So there's definitely a lot of angst there. But that said, it's been a great year for the stock market. It's been a great year for people who are investing soundly. And I don't think people should let the ups and downs of the market get them down.
Do you think the market is directly responsive to Flynn's charges, thinking that this could actually be the end of President Trump, and that's why it's collapsing, because it's Trump that has been responsible for returning the economy?
Well, the stock market is very skittish, so you're exactly right, Owen. In fact, if I had thought about it, because I knew this indictment was coming on, I should have shorted the market today because people panic. So I'm sure it's a little bit of panicky sell-off going on, and it would have been smart. Hey, I just thought of this. Did anyone on Mueller's team short the stock market today using the inside? Holy cow, this is amazing. We're solving a crime in real time, Owen. That's what we need to look into. Was anybody on Mueller's team or their family members, did they short the market today knowing that the Flynn indictment was coming? That's definitely insider trading, so I think we need to investigate that.
Yeah, and actually, now that you're saying that, just kind of thinking about it, and I don't claim to be a stock market expert, I do follow trends, but if you noticed, and I'd like to hear your expertise on this, I think it kind of gives credence to what you're saying. If this was a true, genuine freakout in the organic market, I think it would have been a stronger hit. I think the fact that it was so controlled and it looks like maybe it was kind of one or two entities that shorted the market here, that might be more of an inclination into what you're suggesting.
Yeah, no, it just came to me. Like, I'm so glad we're talking, you know. That's why it's always fun when you have something to riff off of. But, yeah, you're right. Maybe Soros shorted the market because Mueller's team, they're all connected with Soros. So maybe Mueller's team tipped Soros and his people off and said, hey, if you want to make a lot of money, the Flynn indictment is going to be handed down at 9 a.m. Pacific time, or rather 9 a.m. Eastern time. So go ahead and have your short positions in. And that's why the market is reacting this way. So I bet you that Mueller or somebody on his team, either themselves or through intermediaries or through tip-offs, engaged in insider trading on the Flynn indictment news.
Well, and I can tell you this. I've got the official government PDF here on Flynn's case. They signed this last night. So they actually knew of this last night. This was official information as of last night. So this is a very easy potentiality of a Soros type of group, or who knows, maybe someone affiliated with Mueller shorting the market here. Wow, this is a whole new nut to crack, Cernovich.
Yeah, I think maybe we need a special counsel to be appointed to investigate potential insider trading done based on the Flynn indictment. Definitely very important, and I will be telling people at the White House that this needs to be looked into. What their family members' trades, they all need to be audited and find out who is doing the insider trading today, who is shorting the market based on material, undisclosed, confidential information. This is a big scandal. Maybe this ends the independent counsel, but people got to start asking this question.
I'm trying to recall. There was a situation earlier. There's only been two situations I can recall since Trump, even before he got elected, where the momentum of the stock market hit like a 1 or 2 day, like 36-hour slump. And the last time I remember it happened kind of along the same means, and we found out that there actually did appear to be some insider trading. What do you remember what instance that was? I'm drawing a blank.
No, I know what you're talking about too, but I forgot about it too. But I think because it happens so often.
And the news cycle is just insane. I mean.
Yeah, and this is how you can find out the corruption and the crimes, actually, because they have this big smoke screen now with the news cycle and all this news coming out. Now, I wonder, too, you notice that indictment was signed last night. Was that a big distraction against the lawless verdict in San Francisco for Katie Steinle, right? That's what I really want to know is, because remember, Mueller is a San Francisco juror through and through. He has no problem with people being murdered by illegals because he doesn't view us as being human beings. He views us as just animals to put down. And I don't even believe in putting down the animals unless perhaps, they're sick or something like that. So did Mueller time this indictment to distract away from that major verdict that happened in San Francisco last night? I'm inclined to say yes, based on the timing of this indictment. At the very least, it's quite a peculiar circumstance. Have you thought about that?
Well, I think that obviously that is a tactic that they use, trying to distract stories and manipulate, the talking points. I'm not sure if that was the case here, but, let's make a point of it. I mean, let's talk about Kay Steinle. I mean, you've got Robert Mueller trying to get away with murdering the United States and the Republic, and then you literally have Democrats basically allowing non-citizens to get away with murder. I mean, if you didn't think that the leftists were a bunch of murdering scum, what more proof do you need?
Exactly right. The resistance has been revealed. So last night with this big murder, the guy getting off on murder now because the San Francisco jurors does not believe that white women have the right to live. They are actually the racist and the Nazis and everything like that.
Yeah, I thought Kate Steinle had white privilege. What happened to her white privilege, I'm wondering?
Well, they believe, and this has been said before, they believe it's impossible to rape or murder a white woman because you can only commit rape. This is according to them, not me, if the person doesn't have privilege. So an illegal immigrant cannot commit murder, their thinking goes, against a white woman because she has white privilege and he doesn't. So because of that, there's no structural advantage going on for him. So in the left-wing SJW worldview, it is quite appropriate and indeed perhaps even encouraged to kill people who they view as having white privilege.
Cernovich, we're about to end this segment. There's so much. I mean, there's so much huge developments right now. It's like, what do we address first? The blatant attack of going after white males. I mean, look at what's California. what is in the water out there? I mean, these people have literally lost their minds. You can get away with murder. You can literally get away with murder. You can literally infect 100 people with HIV, no big deal. But if you call a transgender the wrong pronoun, then you're going to jail. I mean, what? And then you've got Mueller trying to destroy President Trump, trying to destroy the country. It's like, what do we do? We're literally trying to juggle like 10 different stories right now and trying to figure it all out. I mean, this is just chaos. And that's probably what they want.
Well, it's definitely very weird because there's all this great economic news coming out. There's optimism everywhere. Coffee shops are busy. The malls are busy. Americans are out saying Merry Christmas again. And then
here comes the Grinch Mueller.
Yeah, that's actually the Grinch Mueller. We should do a cartoon. They want to destroy Christianity. They wanted white people to be murdered. They want women to be murdered. And they're coming in and just saying, look, we're okay with murdering people that you don't like. And just go ahead. I call him Murdering Mueller because he said nothing about the Cate's final verdict. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, we don't just say this stuff. We just report on the news. What, they love abortion. They're okay with Kate Steinle getting murdered by a non-citizen who was deported 5 times. It's all fine to them. Robert Mueller, the Grinch that stole Christmas. Robert Mueller, the Grinch that stole America. You know, this Flynn stuff just has me so fired up. I can only take so much of it. And like I said earlier, every day Hillary Clinton walks free, my tolerance goes down. Every day Hillary Clinton is not behind bars, I get a little more pissed off. And here's the thing. Flynn has been set up. The entire point of the Russian probe and the getting Flynn to admit that he breathes air is to destroy America. I mean, that's it. Robert Mueller wants to kill America and cover up for his dirty crimes. So that's all that needs to be said for that. I want to move on to a different subject here with Mike Cernovich. Colin Kaepernick receives the Muhammad Ali Legacy Award. I mean, you want to talk about a farce, and it only gets worse. So Sports Illustrated quotes Muhammad Ali, great quote from Ali, I will say. If I was walking down the highway with a quarter in my pocket and a briefcase full of truth, I'd be so happy. Then they go on and they say that Colin Kaepernick's truth is the fate of Philando Castile, Eric Garner, and Alton Sterling, 3 out of probably hundreds of police-related deaths. That's CNN's truth. That's the CNN, MSNBC, Democrat media complex spin on the truth. So Colin Kaepernick falls for the fake news truth. Then Sports Illustrated takes it one step farther, Mike Cernovich, and this one really grinds my gears. They say that Colin Kaepernick sacrificed his career for his truth. No, Sports Illustrated. Colin Kaepernick walked away from a $20 million contract. The man would still be employed right now playing for the bum 49ers if he hadn't quit. So to say that he sacrificed his career for his truth is not only a lie because his truth is a lie, it's a lie because he walked away from his contract. Cernovich, how do you explain liberal media propping up fake heroes who are nothing more than frauds and phonies and liars?
Well, that's the whole point, is they want to take over all culture, all art, all entertainment, all sports. The propaganda is funny because my wife is definitely not a conspiracy theorist because, as you know, if you ever said Hillary Clinton was suffering from poor health, you were a conspiracy theorist. But even my wife now goes, wow, this is like indoctrination. Everywhere you turn on, you can't watch sports. Indoctrination. You can't watch anything. It's all indoctrination. And that is because the left wants to take over every American institution. And that is the goal of postmodernism and the goal of the Frankfurt School and cultural Marxism.
And it's so true and evident when you see what happens at the universities, you see what's happening in the NFL. And then this is the funny thing. The Dallas Cowboys had a game last night. They hosted the Washington Redskins. Sorry, I'm racist for saying Redskins, even though actual Native Americans don't care. Empty. The stadium was empty. This is a Thursday night football game between the Redskins and the Cowboys, one of the biggest matchups in football, and the stadium is empty. The NFL is making itself irrelevant. Then Giants' Oliver Vernon takes a knee. Nobody goes to the Giants games anymore. They suck. And so he says, if they don't like it, don't come to the game. Wow. That, to me, literally tells you everything you need to know about the left. They will literally kill themselves for their agenda.
Well, I knew it was bad when I was walking through the airport in Phoenix, Arizona, just going through from Terminal C to Terminal B in Southwest. And I heard two guys talking, and one guy goes, "Oh, I'll never watch the NFL again." And I thought, whoa, I'm just randomly at an airport walking around, and those are the conversations people are having. And this, of course, was several weeks ago. And when I tweeted it out, as always, people go, "Oh, you're fake news, you're lying. That never happened." Like, no, I was just, why would I? To me, it's like they give me so much credit for being much more creative than I really am. Like, how would I even think of, oh, yeah, I'm just pretending to make up a conversation about walking through the terminal in the airport because, you know, why? I'm not a fiction writer. But I knew then, I go, oh, man, if I could short the NFL, I would definitely short it. And by the way, how many layoffs have there been at ESPN?
Hundreds now. Yeah. Hundreds, literally over 250, I think, just this year alone. But I mean, how ridiculous? This is what I'm saying, though. They don't even, I don't even know how to explain this. He says, if you don't like it, don't come to the game. Doesn't this guy realize if no one comes to the game, you don't have a job?
A lot of deadbeat employees have that mindset. But, you know, it's worth pointing out that the last time I was in Austin, Texas, the INFOWARS studio was expanding. So what is that telling us? It is telling us people are tired of the indoctrination. Vice News, I mean, this is all tied together. This is why finally people who've lied about us for years ago, oh, it's a conspiracy theory, all the dots are coming together. Vice had to fire 3 people for being sexual predators. That just hit yesterday. All the people in media, we were saying media is protecting pedophiles and rapists. We said that for years. Alex Price said it for 20 years. The poor guy had to wait 20 years.
Yeah,
to be
where's
vindicated.
Alex's Pulitzer Prize for predicting all of this 20 years ago?
Exactly. So for me, I only had to wait like 2 years. So finally, I'm like, oh, thank God, you know. Even Shauna was like, wow.
I've been reporting on this for 2 years. Finally, Rat Lauer, it comes out.
Yeah, so poor Alex, it's been a couple of decades for that guy. Like, just saying, like, why won't anybody listen? I'm telling you, they're all pedophiles.
Mike, they won't even accept the atrazine turning frogs gay. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter that there's hundreds of studies. They can't even accept that. See, here's what Alex should do. Alex should go on air and just have a segment where he's like, he just says, grass is green, the sky is blue, you know, and then watch them deny it. I mean, that's the level it's reached.
Yeah, they're insane, and they look more insane. For example, Think Progress, they claimed that the documents that I got for Conyers and that I put to BuzzFeed, they claimed that I got that from a Russian operative. So BuzzFeed actually had to come out with a statement against Think Progress. I mean, talk about, you know, the 4-dimensional chess. BuzzFeed had to come out with
you nailed them on that move, Cernovich.
Yeah, they had to go against Think Progress and say, you think Progress? No, we talked to the source. It isn't a Russian. You know, so that's how debased they are and how they look crazy now. I have all kinds of stalkers, and I go, man, you guys don't realize that tweeting about me 50 times a day doesn't make me look like the bad guy. Makes you look like the creepy guy. And now there's that show about Alex Jones, right? Brand new show, millions of dollars of free publicity. But they look creepy. They look crazy, and they're completely out of touch.
Yeah, it's honestly sad. I mean, I don't want these people to just disintegrate into nothingness. It's just that's what they're doing, and we're just kind of sitting here calling it out and observing it and reporting on it. But, you know, I just don't even know. I mean, I just don't know if there's hope for these people. I mean, that's the saddest thing. If I can't go out and have a conversation with somebody and at the end of it, even if we disagree, be like, oh, hey, you know what? We're still Americans. Let's get along. Well, then what hope do we have? I mean, you know, it's like, what am I supposed to do? Colin Kaepernick is never going to admit that, hey, you know what? Maybe there's actually police brutality against everyone.
Well, I mean, ultimately, we need to let California secede and just Cal exit. So I'm pro-Cal exit. I'm pro-state rights. Let California become its own country.
Well, if California exited, they'd immediately go bankrupt. Of course, that's the irony of that. They literally are, I think, maybe behind Illinois, maybe even in front of Illinois as the biggest deficit spending, the most debt of any state. We'll look into that. Mike Cernovich is with us on the other side. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Alex Jones Show. Owen Schroyer, Mike Cernovich here with you. And we've got huge specials now extended through the weekend. So you've been given a little grace period to take advantage of these great specials at InfoWarsStore.com. Of course, free shipping store-wide, that's a big one, especially if you're looking for emergency food, air filters, water filters, the big-ticket items, the heavier items. Free shipping offers you big, big savings on those items that you need, items that all of the InfoWars staff have in their homes, because it's important to not drink toxic water, not breathe toxic air, and to have emergency food in case things hit the fan. But we also have great supplements at InfoWarsStore.com, and they receive rave reviews. You wouldn't even believe the reviews. I doubt you could find another supplement site that gets these high of reviews. And the new latest product at InfoWarsStore.com is the Real Red Pill, and we bring that to you at an introductory price of 50% off. 50% off the latest product at InfoWarsStore.com. That's the Real Red Pill. Of course, that's not all for the 50% off specials. The popular Brain Force is 50% off. Survival Shield X2, game-changing, life-changing product, 50% off. Super Male Vitality, 50% off. That's a great deal. Knockout Sleep Aid, 50% off. And you can get huge savings on Pro Pure items right now, our water filters. The Pro Pure water filters are already 25% off. Plus the free shipping, you're literally talking now hundreds of dollars of savings. This is a huge special. And with Christmas right around the corner, what better gift to give loved ones than the gift of clean water? What better gift to give loved ones than the gift of clean air? What better gift to give loved ones than the gift of clean thinking with Brain Force? All of that's available at InfoWarsStore.com. Please support us. Kick George Soros right in the groin by supporting us at InfoWarsStore.com. Mike Cernovich is taking over here in the fourth hour, folks. You make all this possible. I'm about to take off and run into the other studio. We do 10 hours of broadcasting now. I will be live till, well, I will personally be live till 4. Then Rob Dew and Roger Stone will take over till 6. But just final pontification here with Mike Cernovich. So Mike Flynn gets arrested for doing his job. Cernovich, I believe that at the end of the day, this is going to come back to haunt Democrats because, one, whatever they think that they're going to shed light on Mike Flynn doing, which is what people are going to ask. They're not going to say, oh, Flynn lied, that gets Trump. No, they're going to say, what did he do with the Russians? They're going to say, well, he met with Kislyak. Well, what's going to happen? Everyone else that met with Kislyak is going to be called out. Oh, he lied to the FBI, a process crime? Well, what about Hillary Clinton? What about James Clapper? What about James Comey? I just don't see how this doesn't come back to bite them. Of course, we know that this is, I mean, they're throwing everything they can at Trump. This is their last desperate attempt to keep their asses out of jail.
Well, the fact that they went after him for essentially doing his job, General Flynn made the number one mistake, and I say this knowing that people who voted for Trump like the police and we love law enforcement, but there's a real crisis happening right now, Owen. And that crisis is now half of the country now believes the FBI will frame people. And we're the people that love the FBI. We love the feds. We love prosecutors. We love law and order. And now with the Flynn thing, we're going, well, I don't even know, man. Maybe they framed the guy. They claim he lied to them. Well, I don't know. I don't know if I believe that or not. That could just be a total frame up at this point. Who knows who they're going to frame next? That's a real problem. And it's a problem that nobody wants to talk about. Because look at the way they're taunting Mike Flynn Jr. You want to talk about nastiness. Last night, the Katie Steinle thing was nasty. And now General Flynn, a decorated war veteran, multiple war veteran, 3-star general, is pleading guilty to a felony. It's a very, very sad day in his life. And then people are going, ha, 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 Mike Flynn Jr., how's your dad? And you think, wow, these people they're demonic. They don't have any decency. What is wrong with these people? Yeah, I don't like Hillary Clinton, but I wouldn't taunt Chelsea over if Hillary got indicted. I wouldn't taunt Chelsea. That's just evil, dude. That's her daughter. What she have to do with it? And that just really goes to show that between that and the Kate Steinle verdict, that the left has just become fully sociopathic, fully demonic. And that's why how many sexual predators now coming out in media? none of them right wing now. They're all liberal people.
Yeah, it's true. And I think it's sad because Mike Flynn is actually doing this country such a service by putting himself on the line. I mean, he's literally taking this for the country, for Trump. He felt apparently betrayed by Trump with the whole lawyer fiasco. That's something that'll have to shake itself out. But it's what the sickest thing to me, as I leave Mike Cernovich here to take over the rest of the Alex Jones Show. Mike, the sickest thing to me is that it's just the same thing with Trump. Here Trump is. He donates his salary. He doesn't even get paid. He gives up his lifestyle with his beautiful family, his supermodel wife, his billionaire lifestyle. He gives that up to run the country. He sleeps like maybe 3-4 hours a day, working around the clock, phone around the clock, does it all to put America first, to actually get a president that cares about America and doesn't get into the office for their own agenda or their own personal well-being. It's just sad to me that this is what it's come down to, that the only heroes we have left, heroes are few and far between anymore in this world, unfortunately. And the only heroes we have left, in my eyes, the Trumps, the Flynns, the Joneses, the Cernoviches, they're being demonized. They're being dehumanized. They're being attacked. It's really sad. With that, I leave it to Mike Cernovich. Take over, Mike. And this is the 4th hour of the Alex Jones Show. I sign off. I'll be in the War Room with Rob Dew at 3 p.m. Central.
Thanks, Owen. And, of course, the real heroes are the listeners and viewers, because they're the ones every day who are sharing our articles, sharing our videos, spreading the message. Because with me, you know, I can make a living doing this. I can make way more money doing other things. This is pretty much the worst business decision of my life I made, fighting for America and American values. But there are a lot of people listening in. You know, maybe the SJWs hunt them down. Maybe they kill their children, like what happened with Katie Steinle. So the real heroes are the people who are on social media every day defending us, the people who are sharing the articles, sharing the videos, sharing the transmissions, talking to their friends and neighbors. Right now, in America, we have never had more patriots, not since even the revolutionary times. There are more patriots now than ever before. And that is why it's Patriot Recognition Day. I think I'm going to have some kind of event in maybe January. I'm going to call it Patriots Day. And we're going to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of real Donald Trump's ascendancy to the presidency, 1-year anniversary of his inauguration. And then we'll call it Patriots Day, and we'll just have a big party for everybody. And if people want to do these, you know, on their own, you know, anybody can do them. I'm going to have a big one, I think, either probably in D.C. or New York, because we are under fire. The Katie Steinle verdict last night showed that if you are murdered in cold blood and you face a liberal jury, then your life is over. They don't care. It is a modern day lynching, actually. I mean, you want to talk about, you know, To Kill a Mockingbird, where if you were a black man, you could be very easily falsely accused of a crime and there wasn't much you could do because you would get a very bad jury. We are now living in To Kill a Mockingbird time, except that the patriots are the new African Americans in terms of the discrimination faced, in terms of the lawlessness faced, in terms of the threats from the rule of law is no more. In terms of threats from the legal system, it's actually the patriots who are facing it, and the patriots who are going to be falsely accused, and the people like General Flynn, who I don't know if he's guilty of anything. He could have been framed. At this point, I don't believe anything coming out of Mueller's team. I don't believe anything they say. I want to know if they're doing insider trading based on knowing when indictments are going to come. We need to investigate them. Real patriots, real Americans. Facebook.com/Mike Cernovich. We got another segment coming on, but you can always stay in touch and watch live. Comment Facebook.com/Mike Cernovich. And we'll be back with one final segment. And we're back. Mike Cernovich with a question for everybody at home, watching, listening, talking. How many women have accused the Vice President, Mike Pence, of sexual harassment? How many? So if you're on the Facebook Live at either Facebook.com/Mike Cernovich or the INFOWARS Facebook, or if at YouTube, just type in how many. Or if you're sitting at home, hanging out with friends, drinking coffee. I know a lot of families like to spend time together listening to InfoWars, which is a great way to bond. How many women have accused Mike Pence of sexual assault, sexual predation, or anything like that. And the answer, of course, is 0. So why is it then that when Mike Pence, when the story broke, that Mike Pence, he believes that if you're a married man, you should never drink alone with another woman? And people go, oh, you pig, these Christians, which, by the way, isn't it interesting they only ever single out Christians? You know what other religions talk about this? Orthodox Judaism talks about it. Islam talks about it. So if you're a Muslim man, if you're a Muslim adherent, and I'm not talking about the radical Islamic terrorists, I'm talking about the many, many, many good Muslims out there. If you're a Muslim man and you keep to the tradition, you don't go out drinking with just another woman. You would never do that. If you're an Orthodox Jew, you don't do that either. But they just go, oh, you know, he's Christian, so we can go after Christians. But they would never say that about practicing Jews and practicing Muslims. So you got to, that's why when we say it's a war on Christians, they go, you're a conspiracy theorist. Well, wait a minute then. Let's talk about Islam and what they say about whether you should get drunk with women. Let's talk about Judaism, especially Orthodox Judaism. They'll say, no way you can do that. So Vox mocked and ridiculed. Vox is a fake news website, by the way. And they ridiculed Mike Pence and they go, oh, don't be alone with a woman. That's just because you're a rapist. Well, Vice said the problem with don't eat alone with women is good character is better than strict rules. An evangelical university professor says Vice President Mike Pence is wrong. Well, this is actually, by the way, this is how fake Vice is. If you've actually studied virtue tradition, the whole point of it is that we are fallen beings. If given the opportunity to sin, we will sin. If a strong enough temptation, that's the whole point of redemption. That's what these people are so fake. They're such idiots. They're such frauds. I really do just despise them. The whole precept of Christianity is that man is in a fallen state, and this is true of Islam and Judaism and many other faith traditions, is that we are fallen. So because of that, we need to create rules. That's why Judaism and the Torah has strict rules. Has anyone advised, have they ever read the Torah and read all the very strict rules of living as a practicing Jew and as an observant Jew? Have they ever read the Quran? So that's the whole point of religion, is that we are fallen beings, and that if we are given the opportunity to sin, then we will sin. So therefore, what we should do is follow rules that will protect us from ourselves, right? So Vox goes, you know, you dumb Christian, you stupid Christians. Well, let's look an update to the Vox policy. Vox is having a holiday party, because don't call it Merry Christmas. Vox is having a holiday party, and they will not have an open bar now because their reporters are raped. So I'll read you the headline. The headline says, Vox Media drops open bar from holiday party amid sexual harassment fears. Employees will instead receive 2 drink tickets, the company said in an internal email sent out Thursday afternoon. So this is the same media company that ridiculed and mocked Mike Pence. And now they're the ones saying, oh, well, you know, we don't trust our employees. We can't, because that's just basic, right? But the bigger implication would be, is Vox staffed with rapists? Why don't they, if they're so smug, they were smug about Mike Pence. So let's do my favorite game. And my favorite game is to hold the left-wing media to the standards they hold me to, right? My favorite hobby is to say, well, let's apply the rules you applied to me and to Mike Pence and to other people. Let's apply those same rules to you. So by Vox's own reasoning, because they aren't having an open bar, by their own reasoning, they're claiming that their employees are rapists who cannot be trusted. By the way, that's not me. I'm not the one saying that about Vice. I'm not the one claiming that Vice employees are rapists who get drunk and can't be trusted. This is what Vox has said. So all I'm doing is applying the types of things that Vox has said to them, because by their rules, right? And this is what more people need to do. And this is kind of the fundamental difference between people like me and the losers in conservatism. By the way, I'm not saying if you're a conservative, you're a loser. I'm talking specifically about the people who go, well, we don't apply the same rules to them that they apply to us. We take the high road. If they spit on us, and if they attack us, and if they demean us, but we would never use their same arguments against them. Those are the losers. The winners say, hey, bro, I'm going to play by your rules. The rules and the playbook that you have laid out for me and for other people who are conservatives and other people who are right-wing, I'm going to play by those same rules. I'm not going to give you a special pass because that's somehow like higher being or whatever. I'm not going to do that. That's how you lose. That's called being a sucker. So again, this is not me saying this. According to Vox, the website, the fake news blog Vox, their employees are rapists who cannot be trusted consuming alcohol because if they drink too much, they're going to be raping each other. So again, don't come at me mad. I'm just telling you this is what Vox said by their own reasoning. So we can now say that Vox is now a media, fake news media blog outlet staffed with rapists. So we could even name this segment, Vox admits its employees are sexual predators, because that's the truth. That's not clickbait. I love it. Vox admits its employees are sexual predators. So again, there's no clickbait there because that's what Vox has said. Vox has said we can't have an open bar at a holiday party because who knows what will happen. Sexual harassment, you guys can only have 2 drinks. And they all made fun of Mike Flynn and everybody for recognizing that man is fallen. And in fact, lead us not into temptation. You can now see that we've gotten away from good Christian values. Because I've even said, my religion isn't secret. I don't believe the Christian necessarily story about Jesus, but I do believe in Christianity as a moral code. I do believe in Christianity as just like a good way to live your life. I do believe that we as human beings are fallen creatures. Now, whether we're fallen from the grace of God or fallen from something else, these are very, very complicated metaphysical questions. So I'm not here to debate anybody's religion or non-religion. I'm just telling you that's my perspective, is I do believe that there is like a God. Whatever that may mean, I'm not quite sure. But the wisdom there is that lead us not into temptation. We need, and this is the wisdom of the Constitution. That's why when people claim that the Constitution is not a Christian document, then I say, well, you've never read the Federalist Papers. Because if you had, you would know that the entire fundamental proposition of our constitutional government is that men are inherently sinful, men are inherently power hungry and would be driven mad with power. So you have to have separation of powers between the executive, the legislative, and the judicial. You have to restrain power because man is fallen from grace, fallen from God, fallen from virtue and goodness, right? That's what we're talking about here. And that's just, you don't have to be a religious guy to believe it. You can just realize that is just a good way to live your life. Try to structure your life to avoid bad situations. So Vox, as much as they enjoyed mocking Mike Pence, as much as the media enjoyed mocking Mike Pence, to end the segment, we'll do the same as we began it. How many sexual harassment accusations is Mike Pence facing? None. So there's wisdom in that. There's wisdom in religion, even if you don't believe it. As always, thanks for watching me. For those of you listening in for the first time, I'm Mike Cernovich. You can go to facebook.com/Mike Cernovich. We're always busy there doing great videos. You can find me at twitter.com/Cernovich. But for the great videos, facebook.com/Mike Cernovich. As always, a pleasure. Thank you, Patriots, for listening. Thank you for the support. We now need it more than ever in this lawless age we live in. And pray for everybody. Send your thoughts and prayers. And I will talk to you next Friday.